College baseball regionals happening right now across the United States of America. It's time for some postseason college baseball. Even though in our neck of the woods it might be raining, it might be a nasty, nasty day outside, we are at some point or another going to get these college baseball regional games in. A lot of delays already across the country. Like I said, especially in the southeast where there is a lot of rain right now. South Carolina experiencing a lot of that. But nonetheless, a fantastic sports day. It's hard to beat postseason college baseball. Hard to beat college baseball in the postseason. It really is. Welcome into Wire to Wire. I'm Cole Bryson. So good to be with you on this rainy Friday edition of the show. Hope your Friday is going swimmingly. I can't see out the window because it's covered in rain and fog. The moisture's gotten to the windows here at the Fan Upstate Studios in Greenville. So all I can tell is it's a-raining. It's a-raining. It's been some nasty looking skies out there today. Hopefully this stuff's going to get on up out of here because it's we don't have time. We don't have time for this rain on this Friday. We've had enough nasty weather all week. But so good to be with you on this Friday edition. College baseball regionals to get into in this very segment. Good to see James on the YouTube stream where you can watch the show. Not only can you listen to Wire to Wire, you can watch the show on Twitter, Facebook, or YouTube. So many ways to interact and so many ways to watch and listen to the show. The Hub City Spartanburgers text line is open as well at 844-326-3663. A loaded show coming your way today, and I mean loaded. I really do. A slam-packed show. Let's get to James' comment on the YouTube stream. Cole, was that you? I heard this morning on the Mac and Bone show. Love that show. James, guess what? It was me you heard this morning on the Mac and Bone show up in Charlotte. Mac and Bone are awesome. It's a great radio show, like you said. Up in Charlotte, and Mac and Bone have me on a good bit, man. They have me on a good bit. I was on this morning talking Clemson and South Carolina up in the Charlotte area and surrounding areas up in North Carolina. So, yeah, James, that was me. That certainly was me that you heard this morning. Appreciate you shouting that out because it was a good time. Those guys are fantastic, man. They really are. Check them out if you haven't before. Mac and Bone up in Charlotte. They do a fantastic job. James says, when I'm not listening here, of course. James, look, we get it. You consume a lot of content. We appreciate you being a part of the show as well on this Friday. So I'm going to tell you, we're going to get into college baseball, I promise, but I'm going to tell you what happened about 30 minutes ago, a funny story that leads to one of our guests today. I did put it out already on our Twitter and Facebook page, but pretty awesome guest joining us on the Fan Upstate today. HBC, the head ball coach, Steve Spurrier, joins me right here on Wire to Wire on the Fan Upstate at 5:20. It's a short-ish interview, about 10 minutes. I will tell you the rest of the guests we have on the show today, and then we'll get into the story with Coach Spurrier and what happened. But a loaded show today. Steve Spurrier, 5:20. In about 15 minutes, we'll talk to Will Vandervoort of the Clemson Insider about today's regional happening at Clemson. A Ross Chastain interview with Stoneman, one of our sister stations. We had that on yesterday, and we'll have that Ross Chastain interview for you today as well. Our good friend Rob Jones of our sister station, 98.9 WORD. He's a big sports guy. He'll join me at some point today. And then Shane Connick of the Charlotte Observer will join us to talk a little NASCAR at 6 o'clock. So when I tell you it's a loaded show, I absolutely mean it. A ton of sports to get to, a ton of content, a lot of interviews, and want to hear from you Tolos as well. Tolo, turn on, leave on. That's what that stands for. If you're new to the show, we appreciate you tuning in to the show on this rainy Friday. Wesley Roberts on Facebook on the stream says, Happy Friday, Cole. What's up, Wesley? Good to hear from you. Glad you're able to watch the show today. 28 Tolos already checked in on the stream watching. What is going on, Kane? What's up, Kane? He says, hello, Tolos. Hope everyone is doing good. Hope you're doing good, Kane. Good to hear from you. Good to see you on the stream. So let's get this thing rocking and rolling. A big show. Turn it on. Leave it on. College baseball, Clemson baseball. Again, a little NASCAR. Rob Jones will join us. Steve Spurrier. I'm going to get into college baseball, I promise. But first, I got to tell you how the Steve Spurrier interview transpired, right? So about 2 weeks ago, probably 2.5, 3 weeks ago now, I reached out to a contact that I have at the University of Florida. And it's not a friend of mine, but it is someone that I know. So about 2.5, 3 weeks ago, I reached out to this contact, and I said, hey, we'd love to have Coach Spurrier on the show. We're in Greenville. About that time, Dawn Staley's statue was being unveiled at South Carolina. He was there for that. So I reached out to my contact, and she said, absolutely, for you, we'll make it happen as long as he's okay for it, as long as he's up to it, right? He doesn't do a lot of interviews now. He does some, but he doesn't do a ton of interviews, right? So time went by. She gave Steve Spurrier, my contact. She gave me his contact, and she said, look, it's going to take a while. It's going to take a few weeks to get him on. You got a busy schedule, right? And I said, that's fine. Whenever you can have him on, I'll take him. So the story goes, a couple of weeks go by, and she reaches out to me, my contact at Florida. And she says, look, I've left Coach Spurrier your contact. I'm going on vacation. This is about a week ago. And she goes on vacation, my contact does. So all I know as of a week ago is my contact that's lining up the Steve Spurrier interview is going on vacation. I don't know when he's going to call me. I tried to schedule a time, right? Schedule a time a couple of weeks out in advance, put it on the calendar. She said, no, what will happen is he'll just randomly pick up the phone one day and call you. And I said, okay. And she said, here's his number. So whenever he does call you, you know who it is. And I said, okay. So I saved his number in my phone, right? And then a week goes by. I hadn't heard anything. I said, you know what? Coach Spurrier's busy, right? He's playing in all these golf tournaments. He's a busy guy. So today at 2:30, just literally 38 minutes ago, I'm sitting at my desk in my office right down the hall, and Rob Jones, good friend of mine from our sister station 98.9 WRD, he is sitting in my office, and we're talking sports or whatever we're talking about, right? And my phone was laying on the desk, and it rings. And it says Steve Spurrier. So I looked at Rob. I said, hey, Rob, let me get this call real quick. And I showed him who it was, and his eyes got huge, right? His eyes, it thought it was a prank call or something. So I pick it up, and it's Coach Spurrier. I said, hey, Coach, how are you? And, again, this was like 39 minutes ago. And he says, hey, Cole, he said, I'm not going to give her name, but your contact, said that you wanted to have me on the show. I said, absolutely, whenever you can. I said, I really appreciate you just giving me a phone call. And I said, when do you want to do it? You want to schedule it? You want to do it live? You want to, put it on the calendar? He said, no, I want to do it right now. So I'm in the middle of show prep. I'm in the middle of getting all these interviews, organized and lined up and getting the content and building the stream and doing all this stuff that we do before the show starts, pre-production, as we call it. And about 2:30, 2:35, he says, no, I want to do it right now. So I say, okay. When Coach Spurrier calls your cell phone and he says he wants to do the interview right now, you stop what you're doing and you go do the interview right now. Now, I will say this. It would have been comical if he would have waited an hour later and called while I was on the air. I don't know what I would have done. I don't know if I would have picked the phone up right here and on the air said, hey, Coach, what's going on? How are you? I'm alive on the air. I don't know what I would have done, but he called at about 2:32. So I ran in here and recorded the interview. So all that to say, 5:20 today, if you are a South Carolina Gamecock fan or just a sports fan in general, just about everybody knows who Steve Spurrier is, right? Steve Spurrier I'll have that interview for you. I've got to edit it. I've got to chop it up a little bit and do a few things to it. But I will air the interview at 5:20 today, right here on the Fan Upstate. Again, I was hoping we could kind of get some heads up warning, schedule it, a couple of weeks in the future and put it on the calendar. But when Steve Spurrier picks up the phone and calls you, you drop what you're doing and you answer, right? If you're in this business, at least. So, really big shout out to him and my contact at Florida for setting that up. Big shout out to them. Really appreciate her doing that. So, here we go. 5:20 today. Steve Spurrier, really good. Again, it was about a 10, 11-minute interview. We didn't dive into a ton, but it's good stuff. It really is. Talking about college football, South Carolina, Shane Beamer, Don Staley, his restaurant. Yeah, he's got a restaurant now. So set your reminders or just turn it on and leave it on, and we'll talk to you again at 5:20. Kane says, I guess it's good to hear from me when D is out. No, it's always good to hear from you, Kane. It doesn't matter what day it is or who's out or who's in. We just appreciate the heck out of you being here. That's all. April Mosley on the stream says, happy Friday, Cole. Happy Friday, Tolos. What's up, April? How are you? Good to hear from you. Appreciate you being in the stream. Appreciate you watching the show. Let us know how you are, April. It's good to hear. Hadn't heard from you in a couple days. Up to 39 Tolos now on the stream watching. Again, on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. Cornchip texts the Hub City Spartanburgers text line. He says, did you guys end up getting credentialed for the BMW Pro-Am? Thinking about going out there early Friday or for the day on Saturday. Again, that comes from Cornchip on the Hub City Spartanburgers text line. Yes, when I showed up to work, Cornchip, on Tuesday or Wednesday, there was a BMW Pro-Am media credential laying on my desk. So we did get credentialed. We will actually be live broadcasting from Thornblade in Greenville on Thursday and Friday of next week. So we'll be in Greenville both days. So if you Tolos are going to be in Greenville at the BMW Charity Pro-Am, we'll be up there in the clubhouse. Probably out on the balcony as long as the weather is good, right? But yeah, we'll be there on Thursday, Friday. Last year we were in Spartanburg for a day and then Greenville for a day. But the problem with that is, just to give you a little insight, the golfers and celebrities rotate. So if you're in Spartanburg on Thursday with all of them and you go to Greenville on Friday, you're going to be with the exact same golfers and the exact same celebrities. So with us being in Greenville both days, we're going to have different golfers and different celebrities on both days. So we'll have some pretty cool interviews. I've requested some interviews with the likes of Grant Horvat, a celebrity YouTube golfer. He's awesome. I really do enjoy his content. I've requested a lot of interviews with some big-name celebrities. So we'll see how many we're able to get an interview next week. But yes, Cornchip, we will be the 5th and the 6th, Thursday, Friday, we'll be at Thornblade in Greenville. The day before that, Wednesday, the 4th, we'll be live at Ingalls on Asheville Highway in Boiling Springs. So it is going to be a slammed week next week. I mean a slammed week. It really is. Play-by-play JB texts me and says, can you wish me good luck in my pickleball tournament today and tomorrow, LOL? Absolutely, JB. Good luck in your – that's one thing I've never done. I've never played pickleball. I have a couple of friends that do play pickleball, and they've told me I need to try it out. I've heard it's a lot of fun, though. Maybe I should try it out. Again, everybody wants me to play golf, pickleball. I mean, the list goes on and on. So I guess I'll have to add that to my list. April says, doing good. Sorry, I did miss a couple of days, but I'm back. Hey, I was just giving you a hard time, April. It's good to have you. Appreciate you being here. All right, let's get into what's happening in the college baseball regionals right here on the Fan Upstate. If you just tuned into the show, Tolo, turn it on, leave it on. Good to be with you on this Friday. Man, look at this score. I want to start with this one. Florida and East Carolina. Have you seen that score lately? Have you checked on that? I told you, if you're not a college baseball fan, give it a try this weekend. East Carolina leads Florida at the moment, 11-2. 11-2. That is the Conway Regional, by the way. And, This week leading up to the regionals that started today, I said, look, that's a tough draw for East Carolina. It's a tough draw for Coastal, who's hosting the darn thing, right? To look up and see Florida coming up the road to your regional. However, East Carolina just absolutely putting it on the Gators. 11-2. They've out-hit Florida 15-5. A 33-win East Carolina team is just putting it on the 38-win Florida Gators. I love to see that, man. And again, no hate toward Florida. No hate at all. But I'd love to see a small school like East Carolina in baseball just absolutely whip a big dog like the Florida Gators. A perennial national contender year in and year out. I think they've been to the College World Series, 9 of the last 11 years. Made the postseason. Or they're always in the postseason. Let me just put it that way. I tweeted the stat out a couple of days ago, but off the top of my head, I can't recall what it was. They're always in the college baseball postseason. Florida is. So to see that score, boy, is that interesting. 11-2 East Carolina. A butt whooping down in Conway. In the top of the fifth inning, Cincinnati all over Wake Forest. Again, a little bit of a surprise here. Wake Forest out of the ACC. They're not the same team they were 2 years ago, but I can tell you what, they're still pretty darn good. Cincinnati's a good team, though. 32-win Cincinnati team. They leading Wake Forest in the top of the fifth inning, 10-4. They've out-hit Wake Forest 9-5. So I'm telling you, you love college basketball, you love March Madness because of the craziness early. Well, guess what? You're getting it right now in college baseball. East Carolina leading Florida, Cincinnati all over Wake Forest. Newsflash: Wake Forest and Florida, two of the biggest brands in college baseball right now, just getting their butts whooped. I love it. I absolutely love the madness. Texas in the bottom of the third leads Houston Christian 1-0. NC State Stetson delayed. That is in the Auburn Regional. In the top of the first inning in Clemson, Kentucky West Virginia just now got underway. I believe that game just started here moments ago. Scoreless in Clemson, but Kentucky West Virginia is the first game. And then, Clemson Upstate was scheduled for tonight at 6:30. I believe it was 6:30. I don't know if that game will start on time now. We'll see. It might be pushed back a little bit. But Kentucky, West Virginia scoreless, bottom of the third. ETSU leads Louisville. ETSU, Now, again, ETSU out of the SoCon is a 40-plus win team. They're beating Louisville, a 35-win Louisville team, 2-0. I'm telling you, this is absolutely awesome. Little Rock and LSU have been delayed. Miami, Alabama have been delayed. And then we have another slate of games starting here in about 15 minutes, 3:30. Birmingham and Georgia, North Dakota State and Arkansas. A ton of games. As I mentioned, Coastal, they play tonight against Fairfield, a 39-win baseball team at 6. Tennessee and Miami of Ohio tonight. Clemson, USC Upstate. From what I'm looking at, that Clemson Upstate game is now slated for 7:30. Man, I might could have got over there in time. If it gets delayed anymore, I might can make it. I did not. I got credentialed. I wasn't going tonight because it started at 6:30. I'd have to run home and change, which I'd be going backwards to go forwards, right? Can't do that, so I probably won't make that game tonight, but I am going to be there tomorrow. But, man, a ton of college baseball. Ton of college baseball on the slate today. This is a lot of fun. But a loaded show, Tolos. If you just tuned in, a lot coming your way on this Friday edition. We're going to talk to Will Vandervoort of the Clemson Insider. He is there in Clemson right now, and he joins the show next. College baseball regionals underway across the country. Welcome into Wire to Wire. I'm Cole Bryson. So good to be with you on this Friday, even though it may be a rainy Friday. Let's go to Clemson, South Carolina, where we're joined by Will Vandervoort of the Clemson Insider. Will, can you get this rain to go away, buddy?
Well, we got it to go away here in Clemson, and really, to be honest and selfishly, that's all that matters to me. So you're on your own over there, guys.
Yeah.
But we're good over here now.
So, what? I mean, really, it's looking okay? I mean, does it look like most of the storms are out of the area? I know you're not a meteorologist, but...
I'm not a meteorologist by any means, but I can tell when the skies are clearing and they're going to blue skies. And that's what's happening here. Got a little bit of wind gusts blowing in from center field. But looks nice. They started. They're at the top of the third now. The Kentucky-West Virginia game, no score. So moving, I'm not going to say it. I almost said it. But
Yep.
Almost said it. But they're in the third inning, so right now, top of the third, just starting the top of the third, no score. So there's baseball going on here at the Clemson Regional, and hopefully they'll get a little bit played here later on this evening as well.
Well, the show ends at 6:52:30. I can be out of the door in Greenville right here off of Woodruff Road by 6:55. You think I can make it to Clemson by 7:35, let's say?
Yeah, I would say so. I think you'd be good to go. The game would probably be maybe in the first or second inning by the time you get here. So I think you'll be okay.
Okay. All right. I may give it a try because originally, if it was at 6:30, I wouldn't be able to make it. Will Vandervoort of the Clemson Insider joining me right here on the Fan Upstate. Will, when you look at these two teams, before we get into the Tigers, West Virginia and Kentucky, we had the head coaches on the show earlier this week. But what do you think Clemson fans will be intrigued about most when it comes to these two teams playing right now?
Oh, well, it's interesting because West Virginia, of course, ended the season on a little bit of a slump. They were playing good real early in the year, but then they played the hardest part of their schedule, much like Clemson did a few weeks ago at the end of the year. And they come in struggling, went 1-1 in the Big 12 tournament. They were, I think they got swept by Kansas, if I'm not mistaken, at the end of the year. So, they're coming in on a little bit of a slump here. And right now, it's so far seeming that way. Both teams kind of playing decently. I know Kentucky had bases loaded with one out to start the first inning and hit into a double play, and that helped West Virginia get out of that hole. But as far as Kentucky, it's been an up and down year all year for them. Obviously, the SEC is loaded just like the ACC is, and competition's really good. But this is a team that could be really dangerous because you got to remember, where did they end up last year? They ended up in Omaha.
Yeah.
And this is a team that still got some players from that team. They know how to win in these kind of games. And so I think both of these guys will be tough outs for Clemson, regardless of who it is they get, if Clemson is to get in the next game, whether it's in the winner's bracket or the loser's bracket.
Hey, Will, your reaction to seeing two blue bloods in college baseball in Wake Forest and Florida on the wrong end of things right now. East Carolina beating Florida 11-2 and Cincinnati beating Wake Forest 10-4.
Yeah, I say the Florida one surprises me more than the Wake Forest one, just because East Carolina, if you remember, they had to play their way into the tournament, and they did that. They won their conference tournament and got in, and now they're taking advantage of it, and they're playing a Florida team that at the end of the year, Florida's playing really good, right? I mean, so this is a surprise to see Florida kind of struggling here to start off a regional. Didn't see that coming, I'll be honest with you, and we'll see if where they go from the losers bracket, which looks like they're going to have to do. But as far as Wake Forest goes, not surprised with Wake Forest. I'll tell you why, guys, because I thought Cincinnati would be a tough team anyway.
Yeah.
Cincinnati's a really good baseball team, and I knew that was going to be a tough matchup for Wake Forest, especially considering Wake Forest struggles pitching the ball right this year, which I know that's crazy to say because they've been such a good pitching team for the last however many years. But this year, it hasn't been their thing, and they've really struggled on the mound, and it showed here in this regional.
Will, how's the crowd for that first game?
Pretty good, especially considering it's a 3-hour delay. But there's, most of the first baseline and third baseline are filled, and And so I would say it's a really good, because you got two, let's be honest, two very good fan bases in Kentucky and West Virginia. They travel well, and they're definitely done that here. No surprise they've done that for this game. So it's a good crowd. I mean, the left field and right field are not filled in, but when your grandstands are almost filled in, that's a good crowd for the first game of a regional. Better than I've seen in recent years for Clemson Regional.
Now, sold out crowd tonight, though, right?
Oh, yeah. There'll be about 7,000 here for the night. And that's going to be an interesting thing, guys, to watch, because USC Upstate, yes, they've played here before. Their players have played here before. But they haven't played here on a weekend when 7,000 people are here and this place is packed. And it's going to be a night game. Now it's going to be like a 7 o'clock start, so it's even going to be more of a night game. So that's going to be an interesting I want to see how they handle this environment, because this is going to be a pretty raucous environment here tonight.
Will Vandervoort of the Clemson Insider joining me right here on the Fan Upstate for a few more minutes. Will, when you heard the news, when you heard Eric Backett say that he was going with Titsworth over Aiden Canuck today against USC Upstate, your reaction immediately was?
Not surprised at all. Yeah. I thought this was the move. You know, I could have gone with Bell also, being that I think Clemson, you know, my whole thing is, you know, Clemson, they've beaten them before. They beat them with, you know, the same lineup with their midweek guys. And so I would have been fine either way with either one. But, you know, going with Titsworth makes a lot of sense, because you go ahead and you got your second best pitcher. If you get the win, then it sets you up good for tomorrow night, because you know these two guys are playing their top pitchers. And so tomorrow you're going to be playing their number two. And so you got your number one going against their number two, which is an advantage for Clemson, you would think. So I think it was a good move. And now you just hope you get to Sunday unscathed. And then, like, by that point, whoever you play is going to be pitching their fourth or fifth pitcher, right? So should give you an edge in that game as well.
You feel like there was more reward on the back end than there was risk on the front end, and Eric Backett said he knew the whole time as well that he was going with Titsworth.
Yeah, more. There's more reward on the front end, absolutely. The risk is on the back end, because if they lose that game, let's say they win tonight, and they win tomorrow, which is what I think we all expect, right? If they do that and then they get to Sunday and they lose that game, now you're getting into more of your bullpen. And Clemson truly doesn't have a fourth guy, in my opinion, right now. And so that's kind of where, you know, the concern is, can they win it? Sure, because everybody else, if they get to that point, will be playing their, like I said, their fourth or fifth pitcher as well. So, but we saw ACC tournament last week when Clemson got to their fourth. They got to the midweek guys, right? It just didn't work out for them against North Carolina. And that West Virginia team, especially, is probably the most dangerous hitting team in this field in this tournament here at Clemson. And if you get West Virginia and your pitching ain't good that day, you could be a long day at ballpark to make you hit the baseball.
Will, do you agree with what Eric Backett said earlier in the week when talking about USC Upstate, that this was the best 4 seed in the nation?
Well, they played well as of late, and they got a pitcher who can really throw it well. The Big South Pitcher of the Year.
Yeah.
You know, they got a kid that they think they can win with. Now, the good news for Clemson is, guys, they did see him in that Greenville game for 2 innings. He went 2 innings against Clemson, no hits, no runs, gave up 1 walk and 2 strikeouts. So Clemson's seen him, right? So they can go back and kind of look at it. And now he's gotten better since then, and so has the team overall. But when you've seen somebody, that always helps, right? Yeah. And so we'll see if that pays off by the 3rd inning for Clemson or not. And but this is a dangerous team. Do I think USC Upstate can win this regional? No. I don't think they got the pitching to win the regional. But could they beat Clemson tonight? Absolutely. I think they could beat Clemson tonight because they got their best pitcher going, and they're a confident team coming in here. And that's a dangerous mix sometimes. So if you're Clemson, you got to play your best, and you got to match them stride for stride for about the first 4 or 5 innings. And then if you can get to their bullpen, then you got a chance to win the game.
Kentucky, West Virginia. Clemson would rather play who tomorrow?
Kentucky or West Virginia? Well, that's a good question. If you get to it, either way, they're going to play one of them, right?
Yeah.
I say you probably want to play Kentucky. I think West Virginia is the better team of the two. It doesn't mean Kentucky's not good. Trust me on that. But I think West Virginia, just the way they hit the baseball, how dangerous they are as a hitting team, and consider Clemson's weakness is pitching, that would be a bad mix for Clemson, even though Clemson would throw Connaught tomorrow no matter what.
Absolutely. Will Vandervoort, the Clemson insider. Last question for you, Will. When you've watched Clemson all season long, obviously you talked about their struggles toward the end of the season. They did finish well, especially played well in the ACC tournament, other than that one game against North Carolina. In your mind, the one thing that they have to do better this weekend is what?
They need to continue to improve at the plate. One thing you can help when you got a struggling pitching staff is that you can get things done at the plate. And if you remember that North Carolina game, a lot of people look at it and say, oh, they scored 14 runs. But what's the one thing nobody does talk about from that game? Clemson was down 14-0.
Yeah.
The first 7 innings, they didn't score any runs and had 3 hits. It was just as much on the offense as it was the defense, the pitching the other day. So they need to hit the ball and match and help their pitching staff out. I think that's the most important thing for them in this regional. And then, guys, I'll also be honest with you, they can't give up extra outs. You know, they got to limit the free passes. They got to limit the errors. They had a lot of errors in the ACC tournament, very uncharacteristic errors for Clemson last week in that tournament. And surprisingly, they went 3-1 in it because they really had a bunch of head-scratching errors in that game against Georgia Tech, and then did it again against North Carolina. So they got to do a better job also playing defense behind their pitchers as well.
Will Vandervoort, always the best. We appreciate you, man, and I might see you later. We'll see about that.
All right, Cole. I'll see you, buddy. Hopefully I'll see you here.
Will Vandervoort, the Clemson insider. Always a pleasure. Always really, really good stuff there by Will. Live in Clemson. I'll tell you what, there are other options for you Tolos out there in the sports radio world, but I'll always say I appreciate you choosing us. We do try to bring you to the action. We do try to keep it as current as possible. Obviously, a big day in Clemson, and Will Vandervoort, the Clemson insider, really good stuff there from Will. And I think he's right. I think he's right. Going with Titsworth today, I believe, is the right move, right? It's the right move as long as Clemson wins. But let USC Upstate get up on them, right? 5-3 in the 5th inning, and all of a sudden we're asking the question is, maybe Aiden Canuck should have started tonight. But like I said, I believe there's more risk, or more reward rather than there is risk, because to Will's point that he just pointed out, man, all of a sudden you win tonight, then you're going against either Kentucky or West Virginia. They've already thrown their ace. They threw him today. They're throwing him right now. So your 1 is going against their 2, which would be a big advantage if you're Clemson. I do think Clemson gets out of the regional. There could be some moments, though, scattered throughout the regional, even tonight, where things look uneasy. It happens. It's postseason baseball. They're good teams, right? It's not lousy teams. It happened last year against Coastal Carolina. Remember in the regional last year, things got dicey. I mean, it was an insane environment, but it should be a lot of fun. Appreciate Will Vandervoort for joining us right here on the Fan Upstate. A loaded show continuing to come your way. We've got to get to the NBA from last night. What happened? A series extended. We've got to get into this new college football, EA Sports college football trailer, the hype video. It's pretty epic. Daily Wires to get to. Ross Chastain, who won the Coca-Cola 600. We'll hear from him in the 4 o'clock hour. Head ball coach Steve Spurrier. How about that? If you just tuned into the show, HBC joins the show 5:20. I'll tell you that story later on. I told it to open the show today, but I'll share it again maybe in the 5 o'clock hour. Shane Connick, the Charlotte Observer, joins us at 6 p.m. And then maybe, just maybe, the race for Cole to get from Greenville to Clemson in time, with the game being pushed back. Maybe I can make it happen. I don't know. What do you think? Any of you Tolos out there have a helicopter I can borrow, private jet? right off of Garlington Road. Just I'll hop in and we'll be on our way. What's up, Jersey Joe? Good to see Jersey Joe on the Facebook stream. 52 Tolos watching the show right now. Texter says East Carolina lost 7 of their 9 starters from the 2024 team. The Pirates have 31 newcomers on this year's team and have a home environment that can get very rowdy. They're putting it on them right now, aren't they? Let's check on that score one more time. Let's do that on the other side. Update you on the scores, continue the conversation, hear from you Tolos as well. That's all next. We are rolling along in hour number one of the show. College baseball regionals underway. We'll get you an update on that here in the next hour. A lot happening. We just heard from Will Vandervoort of the Clemson Insider. Always a good time. Will was great, as he always is. And we talked about the regional happening. Clemson, upstate, tonight. It was originally slated for 6:30, but the weather might have aided yours truly in being able to make it to the game tonight. We'll see. We'll see about that. I don't know. It's about, let's see how long it is right now. Let's Google Map or Apple Map this thing. From where I sit in Greenville to Doug Kingsmore. You know I'm going to drive the speed limit. I always obey traffic laws for those people out there. Oh, man, that's not good. That's not good. I was thinking it'd be more like 40-something minutes. It says right now, and again, there's a lot of traffic right now. It says 56 minutes. If I were to attempt to make the game tonight, I would leave here right before, it'd be right before 8 by the time I got there. It'd probably be the third inning or so. I don't know, Tolo. Should I chance it? Should I try it? I don't know. I might. I just thought it'd be a little bit. I might can make up some time. Hopefully by 7, the traffic will have died down. I might can make it in 45. I don't know. I don't want to say that. Then you police officers that listen to the show might think I'm speeding, and I certainly don't do that. I certainly don't do that. No, don't do that. Don't speed. Welcome into Wire to Wire. I'm Cole Bryson, Diesel on vacation. So good to be with you on this Friday. 55 of you watching on the stream where you can watch the show, Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. 97.1 FM in Spartanburg, 97.7 FM in Greenville. Also on the free Odyssey app. It's great to have that app. If you don't, you need to download it. It's AUDACY. It's free. You just download it. It may ask you to enter your email or something. I don't know. And then you just search the Fan Upstate. That's how you listen anywhere. Anywhere. JD was listening from Charleston last night. Had people. Hey, Stephen Webb was listening from Germany yesterday. I don't know if Stephen's still on the stream. I don't know what time it is over there, but I always appreciate you Tolos that do listen on the app. So last night in the NBA, the Indiana Pacers had an opportunity to close this game out against the New York Knicks. They went into the game up 3-1 last night in Game 5. And the Pacers did not take care of business. It was really New York's game the entire game. I mean, they dominated from start to finish, 111-94. New York gets the win last night and continues the series. It's now 3-2. Game 6 will be on Saturday night. Game 6 on Saturday night. That'll be a lot of fun. Two really good teams, New York and Indiana, but Indiana was not good last night. Pascal Siakam had a good game, but other than that, the starters for Indiana last night were MIA. They were a no-show. Aaron A. Smith, 3 points. Miles Turner only had 5. Tyrese Halliburton, where were you at last night, man? You're the star, right? You're the star. 8 points is all Tyrese Halliburton had last night. 32 minutes. He was 2 of 7 from the field, 0 for 2 from the three-point line. He really wasn't aggressive in my mind last night. 4 of 5 from the stripe, but just not a good night from the star of Indiana, Tyrese Halliburton. Again, only 8 points. That's not going to get it done. Obi Toppin off the bench had 11. And, they had some guys step up off the bench, but overall, your stars were MIA last night. For New York, man, how about that? Mikal Bridges, 13 points last night. OG Anunoby, 11. Karl Anthony Towns had 24 points. Mitchell Robinson had 6. Jalen Brunson went off last night, 32 points. He was 12 of 18 from the field. Also knocked down 4 of 7 from long range. And they got solid contributions off the bench. Miles McBride, Josh Hart had 12 last night. So I still don't think New York wins the series. However, the momentum all of a sudden now on the side of the New York Knicks. Now on the side of the Knicks. Again, Game 6 in that conference finals is tomorrow, Saturday night. And then we'll go back to square one. Oklahoma City waits to see who their opponent might be, New York or Indiana. I still think it's going to be Indiana. I really do. I still think it'll be Indiana, but you never know. You never know if New York could somehow, some way get this one and send it back to New York for Game 7. Boy, would that be something. Boy, would that be something. I don't know if you Tolos are okay with it, but I have gone an entire hour today, and I've stayed positive for an entire hour by not talking about the Atlanta Braves. Several of you Tolos said yesterday maybe it's just time to quit talking about them and see if they'll get better that way. They did get one win against the Phillies last night in Game 2 of that doubleheader. However, still on the wrong end of things. Still not playing good baseball. Do you Braves fans out there want to hear about do you want to talk Braves? Or are you like me and you're just you're in such a bad place you don't want to even bring them up? You want to keep things let me know. Let me know during the break. If you want to go Braves, we'll go Braves. If you don't, we won't. This is a Tolo-friendly show. We kind of let you guide us sometimes because it is you that we want to be happy at the end of the day. It's all about you, Tolos. It really is. All right, we'll be back. have a very, very serious question for you, Tolos, to begin hour number 2 of the show. I really do. A buddy of mine and I were talking about this yesterday. He brought it up to me, and I said, you know what? I agree with you, I think. But let me ask the Tolos tomorrow and see what they have to say. A really important question for you, Tolos, today. I want to know where you stand on this. Also, phone lines are open at 844-FAN-PHONE, 844-326-3663. Hub City Spartanburgers text line is also open. Same number. One number does it all. Good to see Madcraft on the stream. Hop in, wake up from his nap. I don't know if you're just waking up, Madcraft. He says, I've got an intriguing question, maybe. So you have an intriguing question for me as well? I have a question for you, Tolos, as well, too. But Madcraft, if you have a question for me, let's hear it. Let's hear it. I'm going to give you some college baseball scores first. We're going to hear from Ross Chastain in this segment as well. He was on one of our sister stations earlier today. But I have a question for you, Tolo. I want to hear from you, Tolos. I really do. And then college baseball. Let's get to that first. That's most important. It's happening right now. College baseball regionals happening across the country. Some games have already gone. 2 games have already gone final. North Carolina defeated Holy Cross earlier today for the zip. So the Tar Heels are in good shape. The 5 seed, again, they defeated Holy Cross. East Carolina, this one went final, and this one is just absolutely fantastic. East Carolina defeats Florida 11-6. They out-hit Florida 15-9. Florida had 2 errors in the game today. But how about this, man? A blue blood and Florida going down today. East Carolina put up an 11 spot. 11 runs. 11 runs. How about their leadoff guys? Burris was 2 of 3 today for East Carolina. Jake Herring 2 of 5. Just smashing. Johnson was 2 of 5. Irby 4 of 5 today. 3 RBIs in the bottom of the lineup. Just absolutely incredible. Norby, the pitcher for East Carolina, went 7.1 innings and only allowed 6 hits, 10 strikeouts. 3.80 ERA, so not bad at all. A really cool win, really good win for East Carolina earlier today over Florida. That game has gone final. Also today, happening right now in the top of the 8th, Cincinnati leads Wake Forest 11-6. Texas leads Houston Christian. Have you heard of him before? 6-1. Kentucky and Clemson, again, in Clemson, not and Clemson. Kentucky, the Clemson Regional, leads West Virginia 3-0. 3-0, Kentucky on top. Louisville has bounced back in a major way in the bottom of the 6th inning. Louisville leads ETSU 7-2. ETSU jumped out to a 2-0 lead, but Louisville back in action now. Bottom of the 3rd, Arkansas leads North Dakota State 3-2. Bethune-Cookman and Florida State tied up at 2-2. Georgia leads Birmingham 2-0. USC, the Trojans, lead TCU 1-0 in the top of the 4th. And last one for you right now in the top of the 1st inning, Miami leads Alabama 3-0. Miami leads Bama 3-0. So those are some live college baseball scores for you that are happening right now in the college baseball regional. Again, Clemson in action tonight against Upstate. That game has been tentatively scheduled for 7:30. I believe 7:30 is when that will happen. John Dog on the Hub City Spartanburgers text line asks, single or double elimination? It's double, John Dog. You lose twice and you are out of there. So that's how that college baseball postseason works out for you. A big show coming your way. Again, I do have an interview with Ross Chastain coming up here shortly. He was on with Stoneman on one of our sister stations earlier today. The Coca-Cola 600 winner will be joined by a good friend of the show, Rob Jones of 98.9 News Talk WORD. At 5:20, how about this guest for you? 5:20 today, we'll be joined by Steve Spurrier, the head ball coach. Come on. If that doesn't get you fired up on this Friday, Steve Spurrier, yes, you'll hear him right here on the Fan Upstate at 520 at 6 o'clock. Shane Connick of the Charlotte Observer. I'm telling you, loaded show today. Really is. If you've missed anything, especially in hour number one, as we talked the regionals, we talked to Will Vandervoort of the Clemson Insider, talked a little NBA. If you missed it, you can go back and use the rewind feature on the free Odyssey app. Free Odyssey app. All right, question for you Tolos out there. This is real important. Really, really important. I want to hear from you, Tolos. 59 of you watching the stream. I want to hear from you on the stream. Also on the Hub City Spartanburgers text line if you're listening in the upstate. Is it against code to call another grown man Bud? B-U-D. Bud, simple as that. Is that cool? Or is that like, nah, you don't call me Bud? A buddy of mine, see, I just used the word buddy. I think buddy, I don't know, maybe buddy's not okay either. But a friend of mine yesterday told me, he said, this guy at work was he was living with him. He was living with this friend of his at work that twice, 2 days in a row, via email has called him Bud, B-U-D. And he said no grown man should call another grown man Bud. It's not cool. It shouldn't happen. It's derogatory. It's disrespectful. You don't call somebody Bud. And you know what I got to think? And I said, you know what? I think I agree with you on that. Is Bud, if somebody calls you Bud, and for the females that are listening, I don't know if you get called Bud or not. Probably not, right? I know we have some female Tolos out there. But is it okay to call somebody Bud that's maybe a friend of yours or a coworker, an acquaintance? I kind of lean no. I kind of lean no on that. That's where I'm going to lean. What do you say at 844-FAN phone, 844-326-3663? Madcraft says Buddy is fine, but typically, listen here, Bud, tone is meant to be insulting. And I agree with you there, Matt. So if somebody says, listen here, Bud, or thanks, Bud, or here you go, Bud, do you think that's insulting? Do you think that's insulting to be called Bud, B-U-D? I don't know if insulting's the right word, but it does come across as a little, again, I don't know if arrogant's the right word. I don't know. But you know what? Nonetheless, it was a topic of conversation. Madcraft says it's like calling somebody son. Listen here, son. Yeah, that'd be weird if one of you Tolos called and I called you son. Texter says no, Bud crosses the line. Texter from the 415. You're saying no? You can't call somebody that Bud does cross. Is that what you mean, Texter? The text says, no, Bud crosses the line. Let's see. John Dog on the Hub City Spartanburgers text line says, Bud is not good. It's insulting. And yeah, I think you're right. I think you're right. Yep. I think you're right on that. Let's see. Texter from the 803. Says, yeah, you can call someone Bud when they're 5'5" and 120 pounds, LOL. Might as well rub their head, too, when you say it. No, it's never okay. So I think we're all in agreement, not all Tolos listening, but all of the ones that have texted in. I think we are in agreement that Bud crosses the line. If you call somebody Bud, are you an arrogant, I don't know. What does that make you? Do you have, I don't want to start insulting people that use the word Bud, but maybe you get maybe you'll get a dictionary, right? I'm with you. I think Texter says, yes, it definitely does cross the line. That comes from the 415 as well. Let's see, Brandon on the Facebook stream. What does he say? He says, I say, what's up, buddy, all the time, and I think that's fine. Bud is like looking down on someone, right? Yeah, you're right. You're right on that. I do think I agree with you. I say buddy a lot. On that. I really do. I think buddy's okay. Buckeye Mike says, Hey, bud, I use it all the time. I do not use it in emails. I'm in outside sales. I use like dear or sweetie. Yeah, I bet you do. I bet you do, huh? I bet you do. Let's see. That comes from Buckeye. Mike Buckeye Brian also texts the show. He says, it's totally fine. I use it all the time, and it's never insulting. So that's the first text I've gotten so far where Tolo says it's fine to use but. I wonder if it has something to do with geography. If it's just certain part of the country people say but, I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe I'm off on that. Certain part of the country, certain people just use but a lot. Hey, bud. I don't like it. I'm with the other Tolos. I don't like. Dan B on the text line says, so Bud is in the realm with Chief, Champ, Sport? Maybe, says Dan B. Oh, that's a good question, Dan B. You're saying it's in the same realm with Chief, Champ, and I hadn't heard anybody call anybody Chief. I mean, how long has it been since you heard or had someone call you, hey, Chief, hey, Champ, hey, Sport? I feel like I'm watching the Santa Claus, right? I hadn't heard those in a long time. I'd say it's time to, I think it's time, 2025, we're getting out of this woke society, right? That's a good thing. Let's continue to, if some people are on the let's ban it train, let's officially retire words like Bud, Chief, Champ, Sport. I think it's those four. I don't like either. I don't like those three either, Dan. I don't like any of those. Chief, Champ, and Sport. That again, I don't like the way that sounds. Let's retire those three. Bud, Chief, Champ, and Sport. Greg on the text line says, I find no problem with using the word Bud. Bud? Well, thanks, Greg. I don't know. It's just different. It is a little bit different. It's a little bit different. All right, let's hear from Ross Chastain, who was the winner of the Coca-Cola 600 on Sunday. He was on one of our sister stations earlier today with Stoneman. Let's see, this text come real quick. Text from Balmer. He says, I may be strange, but I'm a mature man. I could care less if called Bud. Doesn't bother me unless it has a tone. Okay, that's a good point, too, right? What's the tone behind it? So there's two Tolos right there that do not have a problem being called Bud. I don't think it's necessarily a problem that I have with it, but I do think you hear it and you're like, okay, that's a little weird. Right? That's a little weird. All right, Ross Chastain. He was the winner at the 600 in Charlotte on Sunday. He was on one of our sister stations earlier today. Here's that interview live. Well, not live. It was live. Now it's recorded and brought to you by one of our sister stations. Ross Chastain.
Carolina's Classic Rock 101.1. We talked to this dude a couple of weeks ago before the All-Star race in North Wilkesboro, and we knew he had a watermelon picked out, and we also talked about the Coca-Cola 600, but at that time, he was focused on the All-Star race, and now you become a badass All-Star, winning the Coca-Cola 600. It's Ross Chastain.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Dude.
What a couple of weeks since we talked.
Have you come down off of it yet?
No. No, sir. No, I don't think so.
I got to tell you, the whole race was just insane to begin with. One, you got William Byron, Denny Hamlin. They were just beating and banging for the whole damn thing. 336 laps out of 400, right? And then you were all the way an ass back. You went, as Ricky Bob has said, you went from worst to first. And did you ever think, as the afternoon was progressing into the evening, did you think it was going to turn out to anything like this?
I mean, on Saturday I did, so we were really fast when we first got on track, and then we crashed. We blew a tire and hit the wall and had to go build another car. So I just asked my team to build it the same way it was on Saturday, build another car the same way. And usually there's something you're wanting. You're wanting it to do something better. It's a race car, so it's very moldable. You can bolt it together in different ways and make it react different when it goes around the track. And I didn't want anything different, which is very odd. I'm pretty picky and want my cars to do certain things, mainly go faster than everybody's. But
right.
It was good enough on Saturday. I wanted it the same, and they were able to replicate it pretty darn good.
Well, your team busted their ass. They were only working on, 3 hours sleep?
They were, yes, sir. That was, come to find out, they thought 3 hours was bad, and then a group of us stayed up all night Sunday night into Monday, so celebrating. Some of them had 3 hours over 2 nights.
Well, I did see there was a few Busch Light cans in Victory Circle, but man, I got to tell you, man, to see you come from the back to the front, and then with Byron and Hamlin going at it, and of course they were dejected at the end of the thing, but to see you come back and just kick ass, and then you got to throw the watermelon, and then you went up in the crowd.
I did, yeah. Those moments after the wins, I'll be honest, there's a lot going on in my mind and happiness and excitement, and it's a bit blurry.
Yeah.
Thinking back on it. Going out there. The one thing I am happy I did share. You know what? There's been enough people eating off these things. I'm going to leave them with y'all. Y'all have them, and I'm going to go back to the track. And when I climbed back through the fence, I was able to grab another piece off the ground and take that one to victory lane.
Talking with the number one driver, the Chevrolet Trackhouse Racing, Ross Chastain, going from worst to first, winner of the Coca-Cola 600 this year at Charlotte Motor Speedway. And I got to tell you, man, this thing has got to give you momentum for the rest of the season, and not only with your team and just – and of course, it's an unbelievable day anyway to begin with, because 600 miles, and that people don't understand that extra 100 miles is such a pain in the ass, and it's such an endurance race, and you lose about 5 pounds every time you do this race.
So I mean, you can. I think I did a pretty good job this weekend of staying hydrated.
Yeah.
I don't want to lose that. I mean, yes, it's inevitable that we are very hot. We're sweating a lot and exerting a lot, even though we're sitting down. So, yes, there is a lot that goes out, but maintaining that with fluids throughout the race is important, and I did that. Took in enough to feel really good at the end, and my team has my car built in a way that's really comfortable for me. Probably wouldn't be comfortable for anybody else, but it's the most comfortable thing in my mind and for my body. So.
I know when we talked a couple of weeks ago before. I know when we talked a couple of weeks ago before the All-Star race, you said you were concentrating on the simulator for the Coca-Cola 600. Obviously, it definitely paid off. Did you find that was the issue, or that was the plus in it, or you just were in such a hot rod and you were just in that right spot that you just felt it all day long?
Well, the work on the simulator, it never stops. It's a tool that we have, and it does drive a lot of our decisions. But so giving it good effort from the driving side is important. It has a lot of it goes in on the engineers to build the models correctly and have it react the right way. But it's a very dynamic and unique operating system that responds to how I drive it and what the engineers input into it. So. It's not like we just found something in it and said, "Oh, this is going to make our race car better," but we just keep working with our tools, and it paid off.
Well, I got to tell you, watching the race on Prime was pretty cool, but I think between Corey LaJoie and Carl Edwards, to see the way, I think LaJoie was more excited than anybody else. He was fanboying on you at the end of the race in the interview, don't you think?
Yeah, Corey's a great guy. We've raced together for over a decade,
yeah.
I think, and just really, really cool guy and smart and good race car driver that's not in the seat right now. So he's not going to let grass grow under his feet. He's out there commentating and staying engaged in the sport. So, that was cool to see him down there on the Prime desk.
Yeah, plus he's a hell of a podcaster. He's, Stacking Pennies is a great show. And to see Carl Edwards back in, between Corey and Carl, it was a nice surprise to see Carl back into the sport, but doing commentating. I actually thought he did a pretty damn good job.
Agreed. I think they both did really good. It's something that neither one of them probably had planned that long ago, but with 4 TV partners now, they found an opportunity and they knocked it out of the park.
Well, we roll on to, speaking of Prime, we roll on to Nashville this weekend. And Nashville, it's never going to be even though you got a spot now in the playoffs, which is outstanding. And, of course, you got one of the crown jewels, the Coca-Cola 600. But going into Nashville, it gives you a little bit, the pressure's off a little bit, or is the pressure still on just to win another race?
Oh, the pressure's on for sure. Yeah, we want to keep winning. We want to continue having cars that fast, and it's something that the work never stops. So already in Nashville again for this weekend. We got appearances lined up and ready to get on track with the Xfinity car first on Saturday, and then the Cup car on Sunday. So a lot to look forward to. But we definitely did take in the moment and earlier this week. But it is back to work, and we put a real effort into doing that again. But let's not crash on Saturday. Let's start a little further forward than last.
Well, I tell you what, if that's an omen, if you're going to crash and do worst to first again, that ain't a bad little deal. I tell you what, Ross, again, I appreciate you taking the time out. Again, chatting a couple of weeks ago and doing a follow-up. I was so excited for you. And then I found out you and I got to chat again. I was stoked. I was going, this is going to be kind of fun. And again, I look forward to you throwing another watermelon out this weekend in Nashville. And I hope the weather's good for you. And, dude, kick some ass and congratulations.
Thank you. I got to tell you, that watermelon, man, it has never tasted sweeter than in Victory Lane out there on that front stretch. So it was a good time.
Oh, man, you know what I absolutely hate? I hate when you have something on the rundown that you want to get to. You've got topics, you did your show prep, and then you just hear a Rob Brown show promo, and you've heard this promo for a year now. I've heard this promo a million times now. But I'm telling you what, man, that promo that just played by Rob Brown on the Rob Brown Show, which, by the way, is a freaking fantastic program every morning right here on this radio station from 6 to 10 a.m. But I've got some issue with that promo. I don't know how you Tolos, and look, I get everybody has bad takes, but I don't know how you Tolos out there allow Rob Brown to get away with what he just said on that promo. And for those of you watching on the stream, I know you can't hear the promos. It's only heard on radio, terrestrial radio. And I don't know. I don't know, man. I don't know how you Tolos are letting this man, who does a freaking awesome job, like I said, weekday mornings on the Fan Upstate, how y'all letting this man get away with what he just said on that promo? Can I pull that? Can I grab that same Luck promo, or is it going to switch on me? Let's see. Nah, it's going to switch on me. It's going to switch. But you Tolos out there, y'all are sensible folk. You're sensible people. You're good people. And y'all are letting Rob Brown get away with making promos about Luck not being a real thing. He says, Luck's not a real. Let me see if I can find it. I'm going to reach over. I'm by myself, so I'm triple tasking here. I'm going to see if I can find it. I don't know if I'll be able to or not, but in this promo, Rob Brown says, luck is not a real thing. You weren't lucky, you were unprepared. And you Tolos out there, which, again, like I said, y'all are real sensible human beings most of the time. You're going to allow Rob Brown of the Rob Brown Show to get away with saying something as stupid as luck's not a real thing in sports? Are you kidding me? And Rob Brown's watched sports his entire life. Rob Brown knows sports, or as he says, ball. He does know ball. And for somebody that knows sports and watched sports and covered sports, y'all are going to let him rip a promo out, throw it in the radio system, because that's what this thing's called, right? The radio system. I don't know why I just said that. Throw it out there into the ether and say, oh, nah, in sports, luck isn't a real thing. You're not lucky. You were unprepared. Really? I couldn't disagree more. I could not disagree more. I mean, are you kidding me? We've got to put an end to this. We have got to put an end to this luck not being a real thing. So if you are the home team, and I can give you a million examples, but if you're the Atlanta Braves, and by the way, they need as much luck as they can get, right? If you're the Atlanta Braves and you're the home team, and it's the bottom of the ninth, or excuse me, let's back up because that wouldn't work out. Let's say it's the top of the ninth, right? Top of the ninth, you're the home team. You're trying to close the game out. And the opposing team hits a home run or hits a ball that potentially could be a home run ball that could potentially, let's say with a runner on base, win them the game. There's a runner on second. You're leading by 1, 2 outs, payoff pitch, swing, and the ball carries to left field, and the ball hits the foul pole. And the very next pitch, the batter grounds out to third and the game's over. You're telling me that you didn't get lucky by that ball hitting the foul pole? Are you kidding me? So you're telling me that the other team was unprepared because that ball hit the foul pole and they didn't walk that thing off. There is such a thing as luck. Yeah, there is. I'm gonna go against Rob Brown right here. I'm gonna say he's Is he correct? Where's that sound bite at? Is he crazy or is he just plain stupid? I don't know, man. I can't vibe with that. I can't do it. I just can't do it. Here it is. I got it.
Are you crazy? are just plain stupid.
There's no way you can believe that, right? Tolos, I see the text flooding in on the text line at 844-FAN-PHONE, 844-326-3663. Are you really agreeing with Rob Brown right now? Are you really agreeing that luck isn't a real thing? So when that ball hit the foul pole, the Atlanta Braves in the top of the ninth inning weren't lucky that ball just didn't carry a few more inches to the right and that thing get walked off? That's luck. They got lucky. That has nothing to do with a team being unprepared. If in football, if the ball, I mean, come on, guys. Come on. If you've watched or covered sports, you know that good teams that win championships, they have to have what sometimes involved? They got to be a little lucky. If the ball bounces your way, are you kidding me? You're going to tell me that's not luck? Oh, my gosh. There is such a thing. I'm not buying that. I'm really not. Tracy on the Facebook stream says, couldn't argue with Mark, can't argue with Rob either. Appreciate you, Tracy. On the text line, Hub City Spartanburgers text line. Texter from the, let's see, a lot of text here. Goodness gracious. Goodness gracious. Let's start with Bubba Brooks 90 or Bubba Brooks 86 on the Hub City Spartanburgers text line. Bubba Brooks 86 says, luck isn't real. Whatever is going to happen is. Okay? Joey texts the show. Joey says there is no luck. If a player's on the positive end of a fluke play, they hadn't worked their asses off to get to that point, to be in that moment, they wouldn't have gotten lucky, says Joey. But what I'm saying is Joey and Bubba Brooks, and a few more texts I'll get to in a second, those two, Bubba Brooks, 86, and Joey, do agree with Rob Brown that luck isn't a real thing. There's just, like, when you watch as much sports as we all do, there are so many times and so many instances in sports where a team just gets lucky. I'm not hitting the subscribe button on this. I'll hit the subscribe button on a lot of things. I'll hit subscribe on a lot of things, especially old Daredevil who called in yesterday. His blind man YouTube videos. I'll hit subscribe on that. JD, I'll hit subscribe on his YouTube channel. I won't hit subscribe on this. I'm not subscribing to this terrible take by Rob Brown. Y'all should not let him get away with this. You shouldn't. There definitely is such thing as luck in sports. Brandon on Facebook says, so the double doink wasn't luck? Right? You're right, Brandon. No, exactly. You're right. Let me throw that there up on the stream. I like that. The double doink. That's right. The double doink, according to these Tolos and Rob Brown, the other team was not prepared well enough, so the double doink is their fault, right? Is that our logic here? Because that doesn't make any sense. That doesn't make any sense. The double doink. Yeah, that's a good example. What are some other examples of luck in sports? Let's do a live ask of ChatGPT. Let's ask ChatGPT. What are some examples of luck in sports? And let's see what ChatGPT has to say. Okay, the first one, bounces of the ball, football. A ball that bounces right back to the offense or takes a wild hop away from the defender. I agree with that one. That's definitely, like, I'm not saying luck caused that, but sometimes you can be on the right side of luck, right? Let's see. I'm getting ChatGPT and the texter confused here. ChatGPT also says, in basketball, the rimmed out shot that somehow rolls in or a buzzer beater that banks in off the backboard. I don't know. I don't agree with that one. I think a rimmed out shot I can see, but a buzzer beater that banks in off the backboard, I don't agree with that that text or that ChatGPT answer. Because, again, you still have to have skill to put the ball in the right place at the right time, right? Let's see. ChatGPT also says, what about officiating decisions? A blown call. Ref misses a call like a pass interference. The other team got lucky. Yeah, I agree with that, right? Do I? Ref misses. Let me say that. The ref misses the call. Yeah, it's the ref's fault. Like luck doesn't cause the ref to miss the call, if that makes sense. But the other team, like for example, go back to Saints-Rams NFC Championship, right? Or was it the game before the NFC Championship? A few years ago. You're telling me the Rams didn't get lucky? Are you telling me? I mean, come on. Everybody knows that was pass interference. Let's see here. I'm reading the rest of the message from ChatGPT. I asked ChatGPT, what are some examples of luck in sports? Okay, baseball. A wind gust that turns a routine fly into a home run for one batter but not the other, when the wind may not be as strong. That's good. That's good. I like that a little bit, right? I don't hate that. Let's see. I'm just reading through the rest. Yeah, I think some of them I agree with. Some of them I don't. I think luck's a real thing. I really do. Texter from the 850 says, so when Randy Johnson hit a bird with a pitch, that was because Randy wasn't prepared that day? Texter from the 850. Oh, is that Dan B? That is Dan B. Dan B. On the Hub City Spartanburgers text line. I'm not going to read that, Brandon. That's not that Brandon. Gosh, you had to go there on the Facebook. I saw that. I might read it. Dan B says, so when Randy Johnson hit a bird with a pitch, that was because Randy wasn't prepared that day. Dan B, you're getting the Text of the Day award. Can we get a sounder for that? For the Text of the Day award? I don't know if we have a sounder that would a golf clap, something. I mean, come on, somebody. Can we get I like that. I like that a lot. That's a great text. No, wrong sound effect. I don't know. That's not good. We got to fire this producer over here. There we go. Text of the day. Text of the day from Dan B. I like that a lot, Dan B. Randy Johnson, according to Rob Brown's logic, Randy Johnson was not prepared that day when he hit the bird. That's a great text, man. That's good stuff. Joey on the Hub City Spartanburgers text line says, nope, the Rams didn't get lucky. They got a few 100,000 lighter. Says Joey. Joey. You think they paid the refs off in that very moment? You think they – I don't know. Brandon, the comment that I didn't want to get to that kind of hurt a little bit, said on Facebook, how about the Des Bryant not catch coming from a Packers fan? That's a good one. Brandon, you are a Packers fan, right? Yep. That's a good one. From a Packers fan perspective, they did get lucky because the NFL later came back and said, yeah, that was a catch. We messed up. Yeah, it should have been. I agree with that. That's a good example. There's definitely, come on, Tolos. We've got to run through a break, but there's definitely luck in sports. Y'all got to get Rob Brown. Y'all got to get him in check for that. Letting him cut promos with crazy things in it like that. All right, top headlines in sports. It's our Daily Wires. That is next. right, it's time to look around the sports world at all that's happening, all that has happened last night, what's happening right now. It is time for what we call on this show our Daily Wires. It is the top headlines in all of the sports world right here in one very segment. Madcraft on the stream says, you believe in luck, Cole? No, Madcraft. I just spent 15 minutes in a segment talking. I don't believe in it. What do you mean? Are you late to the party here? Do you not turn it on and leave it on? Are you kidding me? Come on, Madcraft. Come on. All right, let's get to the Daily Wires. Let's get to that. All right, I lied. Let's get to one text by Eric Hines. This is funny. Eric Hines says on the Hub City Spartanburgers text line, what about Rob Brown finding someone to actually marry him? Good text. Funny text. That's a funny one, man. I like that, Eric. Good text. I like that. All right, Daily Wires. Top headlines in sports last night. The New York Knicks defeated the Indiana Pacers 111-94. So, the Indiana Pacers now are in an interesting spot. Because they had a chance to close out the series. They did. 111-94 last night. Pacers fall, and the Knicks keep the series alive. All right, also in the sports world, how about this one? This one's not good. Zion Williamson sued over allegations of rape, years of abuse. A woman has accused New Orleans Pelican forward Zion Williamson of rape in addition to sexual, physical, emotional, and financial abuse over the span of a multi-year relationship, according to a lawsuit submitted to Los Angeles Superior Court on Thursday. So, unfortunate to see that. In the news, the San Francisco 49ers are finalizing a deal for Eagles defensive end Brian Huff in Santa Clara. The San Francisco 49ers defensive lineman renovation continues. That's a good get. That's a real good get from Bryce Huff. The trade, which is expected to be finalized next week after the calendar turns to June, includes a restructured contract for Huff. Sources told Adam Schefter Huff was slated to make $16.75 million in fully guaranteed money in 2025, but the Eagles will take on a $9.05 million in salary, leaving the Niners to handle the remaining $7.5. That's a good get for San Francisco. I really think it is. All right, what else? What else on our Daily Wires here as we continue right here on the Fan Upstate? Let's see here. The Big Ten, SEC must support all football, the Big 12 commissioner says. How about that? In Orlando, the Big 12 commissioner, Brent Yormark, reiterated his support for the 5+11 college football model, saying Friday that even though the Big Ten and SEC are leading the discussions, those concerns have a great responsibility that goes with it. That's interesting. Over the past several years, momentum has grown for an expanded 16-team playoff that would feature the top 5 conference champions as automatic qualifiers and 11 at-large teams. A model Yormark presented when the Power 4 commissioners met recently in Charlotte, North Carolina. So how about that? Let's check in. Let's add these to our Daily Wires. College baseball regionals happening right now at this very moment. Texas leads Houston Christian 7-1. By the way, I did forget to mention no NBA tonight. Knicks Pacers game 6 tomorrow night. Kentucky, West Virginia. How about this game in the Clemson Regional? All knotted up at 3 in the bottom of the 6th inning. This is a good one. Bethune-Cookman, Florida State tied at 2, but that game has been delayed. Top of the 6th inning, Arkansas leads North Dakota State 6-2. In the top of the 6th, in the Corvallis Regional, USC leads TCU 6-1. Georgia leads Birmingham 8-2. In the Athens Regional, Miami leads Alabama 4-0 in the bottom of the 4th. Fresno State in the top of the 3rd trails UCLA 4-0. Arizona leads Cal Poly 3-0 in the top of the 3rd. Georgia Tech leads Western Kentucky 4-0 in the top of the 3rd. Into the 1st, Stetson. How about this one? Stetson all over NC State, 7-0. Are you kidding me? Stetson put up a 7 spot in the first inning against NC State. Who saw that coming? And then 2 games that have gone final. Oh, I'm sorry, 4 games have gone final. Cincinnati beat Wake Forest 11-6. North Carolina beat Holy Cross 4-0. Louisville beat ETSU 8-3. And East Carolina beat Florida 11-6. Those are your daily wires. We're joined by a good friend of the show, Rob Jones. He's you might have heard him on this show before, on this station. He is across the hall, News Talk 98.9 WORD. I told him, hey, Rob, I'm solo today. Come sit in and talk sports with me. He said, I will. That's next. Hour number 3 of the show coming at you right now, right here on the Fan Upstate on a Friday that's starting to clear up a little bit, maybe look a little bit better than it was earlier when the bottom decided to fall on out. Welcome into Wire to Wire. I'm Cole Bryson. Diesel still on vacation. Good to be with you. Want to let you know, programming note, programming reminder, coming up in about 20 minutes from now, the head ball coach, Steve Spurrier, joins the show. No, I'm serious. He really does. 5:20. And then at 6 o'clock, we'll talk to Shane Connick of the Charlotte Observer, talk a little NASCAR and whatever else is on Shane's mind. But we have the one, the only Rob Jones. I about said Rob Brown, and that would have been an insult to you, Rob, of News Talk 98.9 WORD. I brought you on because, number one, you're the best. Number two, I'm solo. And it'd help if I turn your mic on. But that's my fault.
Yes.
Sorry. And number three, you were in my office today when I told the story at 3 o'clock. And for those that hadn't heard the story, I'll quickly rehash it. A couple of weeks ago, long story short, I reached out to a contact of mine at Florida. I was told Rob Jones that, hey, getting Coach Spurrier on is possible. He's busy. Well, we'll see, right? He doesn't do a lot of interviews. So long story short, my contact gave him my contact, my phone number. She gave me his. She said, hey, here's his number. Put it in your phone. That way when he calls you. I said, well, do you want to schedule something? Put it on the calendar? What? No, Coach Spurrier, he's just going to call you randomly at some point. That's what she said. And that he did. Today, what was it, 2:30, 2:35?
Well, yeah, about 2:30, I guess.
2:30, I think so. You and I were sitting in my office, and we were talking about, work stuff, being productive, and how we can make Odyssey Greenville a better place, right?
Always.
Oh, and
I'm committed to that, Cole.
Yeah, shut up. At about that time, my phone rang, and it said Steve Spurrier.
Yes.
So I said, oh.
And I saw it. I'll testify to it. I saw it.
You saw it. And,
I thought you were ribbing me, but then I realized it was real.
Did you think I was pulling a prank on you?
I thought what you were doing, because generally when we are together hanging out in the office talking, we also talk to our guy Brock Hamrick. So what I thought you guys were doing was you had Brock Hamrick, you changed his number to Steve Spurrier, and you had him call you so that you guys were trying to rib me.
And you thought that's what was happening?
And I thought that's what was happening for a second, and then I saw how you reacted, and then I realized that it wasn't a rib, and it wasn't Brock Hamrick. It indeed was Steve Spurrier. And I heard his voice on the phone, and he's got a very distinct voice.
He does have a distinct voice. You thought I would do that to you?
I wouldn't put much past you and Brock Hamrick. I think you guys would sit around and be like, it'd be really funny.
Scheme that up.
If we should scheme Rob Jones and see if he'll bite and believe it.
That is, what? It's funny. I will give you that. It's funny. But no, it wasn't. It was really Steve Spurrier. By the way, I didn't know he was calling. So I asked him, you heard me. I said, Well, Coach, do you want to schedule the interview next week? Diesel gets back, or a couple of weeks, put on the calendar. He said, his exact words, nah, I want to do it now. That's what
At his age, he doesn't know if he has a couple weeks.
God, Rob.
I mean, he's old, bro.
Rob.
He's that old.
You're really going there right now?
I mean, I am going there because it's reality.
How old is he? I'm going to go.
He's
how old
enough to where 2 weeks might be too long.
Jesus, man. Good. He's 80.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. There you go. He was coaching football when I was a kid.
He sounds good to be 80. He still sounds good.
Yeah, he's great. Well, he was at Duke when I was a kid. Yeah. I remember Duke beating Clemson as one of my early football memories.
Yeah. So all that being said, we did the interview, pre-recorded it at like 2:35, 2:40, and it went up until probably 2:55 or so. And Steve Spurrier live on the Fan Upstate, again, not live. I misspoke. He was pre-recorded about, 2.5 hours ago.
It doesn't matter if you recorded it in a Porta-John bathroom.
That'd be a little weird.
In Taylor's. It's
Steve
Spurrier,
on
the old ball coach.
I know, man. It's awesome. I can't wait. I really was hoping maybe we could do it like.
And I'm glad you brought me in here now because I'm, I guess, opening for Steve Spurrier.
That's exactly what it is.
And I've opened for a lot worse than Steve Spurrier in my day.
Yeah,
so there you go.
By the way, phone lines are open at 844-FAN-PHONE. Matt Kraft, I know you said you wanted to get in. Just because Rob Jones of News Talk 98.9 WORD is in here doesn't mean you can't call. 844-326-3663. Rob Jones, you've heard him Saturday Scramble. You've heard him on this station on obviously 98.9. For those that have never met you via the radio before.
Mm-hmm.
You have been with Odyssey Greenville for how long?
About 4 years.
4 years.
But I've been in the industry for about 20.
20. You're old. You're telling your age.
I'm old, but this is also about the only thing I've ever done as an adult.
Radio.
Yeah.
How'd you get started?
So I basically was a listener to the sports talk formats and got to know some people who were working in the format. Mark Packer was one that's very influential for me, and he's retiring. Congratulations, Pat, man.
Yep.
But so I kind of started doing some guest spots on that show and some others, and then I decided, hey, this is what I want to do. And just kind of grinded my way up, and I got an opportunity at campus radio at Clemson, old 88.1 there, and got an opportunity there, did some work for them, did a sports talk show, which they didn't have at the time. They were excited about, did that there. And then
what was that, back in the 40s, 50s?
It was back when you were a little baby. You was probably wearing underoos back when I started, you know.
Yeah,
but I got to start there, and then got hired my first paying gig off of that, and since then, man, I've been everywhere from here in the upstate where I'm originally from here.
Yeah. Seneca, right?
Yeah, that area, Oconee County. So originally from there and got the opportunity here, and then moved out to Houston, Texas, worked for what used to be Sporting News Radio, was there for quite a while, worked with Tim Brando, Steve Zabin, a lot of guys there that are big names, and then I was in Shreveport, Louisiana with Tim Brando when that show went to XM and CBS Sports and all of that.
Everybody knows Tim. I mean, that's a long-time radio, you know?
Yeah, he was, and then, you know, he kind of retired from doing the everyday radio gig. His schedule, like, people don't – that's the one thing people don't get about the entertainment business and about the business we're in is sometimes the schedule is incredible. And Tim did such a grueling schedule for such a long time that, you know, it wore on him, and he had made his money at that point. And so he kind of retired from doing that. I went on to Oklahoma, worked out there in the Oklahoma City area for a while, and then
you found out Cole Bryson was in the upstate and you wanted to get back.
I had no idea who you were.
Thanks.
I didn't know who you. I did not know who you were till I came here, and they said, "Hey, this guy Cole Bryson
we got this guy with this."
No, he up and
loser.
left during the middle of the football season.
No, we knew each other before that, did we not?
No, I never met you until you came back here.
I thought. Really?
Yeah, they said, "Hey,
that.
can you have a background in high school football and you're from
you did
here?
a great job.
Can you come in and fill in?"
I did not know. You sure about that? We never know. Wow, I didn't know that.
I maybe had heard the name, but we didn't know each other.
Saw it on a milk carton or something. Yeah.
Something like that.
Real quick update. Pete Yannity of WSPA 7 says on Twitter just a minute ago, Burns softball Summerville state championship game, game 3 was supposed to be at White Knoll tonight, or somewhere in Columbia. The game, because of the weather, has now been moved to tomorrow at noon. So Burns Summerville at White Knoll tomorrow at noon. Game 3 of the. Did you see what Burns did? Was it Wednesday night? Broke Summerville. Okay, so the game.
Oh,
game
the Summerville record.
It was like 80.
Yeah, I did see that.
86 game wins.
Yeah, 83, I think.
83 game wins,
which included a win over Burns in the state championship a couple of years ago.
Yeah, that's impressive, man. Hey, you win 83 games.
I don't care what you're playing. You can play tiddlywinks. If you win 83 in a row, you're doing something right, man.
It really is. Rob Jones, News Talk 98.9 WORD, joins me right here on the Fan Upstate Hub City Spartanburgers. Text line open, phone lines open as well. Steve Spurrier on the show 10 minutes from right now. Hey, did you see? You live in the Seneca, Oconee area. Did you see the? I'm sure you did. You're in the news business. The nice brawl at the softball game a couple of days ago.
Yes, that was actually at Belton Honeypath.
Oh, that was in Anderson.
Yes,
but that's close.
The redneck part of Anderson. While we're being specific,
Gotcha. Glad you clarified.
And it was Belton Honeypath against Crescent. So it's almost like you took all the rednecks in Anderson County, put them in one place, and you had a big fight. Surprise!
Surprise. That was a brawl, though.
Oh, yeah.
Like it wasn't just.
And it was like grown dudes.
Yeah.
Like the youngest person arrested in that fight was 25 years old. It was a bunch of bubbas out there, 50-year-old bubbas. I'm kind of surprised somebody didn't get shot, to be honest.
Well, thankfully they didn't. Right?
Yes.
Thankfully they didn't. It it was funny, like you laugh at it, but at the same time, I think I mentioned the other day, it's sad that you can't even have. I mean, we talk about it all the time with sports and the way they are now, the trajectory, right?
Mm-hmm.
That you can't even have grown adults, go to a softball game or their kids. Probably their kids. I'm assuming their kids are playing, right? Right.
You would hope so.
You'd hope, yeah, that'd be weird if not. And they just say, hey, let's have an all-out brawl. Only in Anderson, though. Only in Anderson does something like that happen.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, here's the thing. Like, yes, it's sad.
Or Chesney.
I could see that happening in Chesney, too.
Sorry, Chesney. Tolos. I just made somebody mad. I'm sorry.
I remember what was it? There was the beef between Tom and Somerville and the Chesney guy on the show.
Yeah.
I remember that, too.
Tom and Somerville, by the way, we need to keep Tom in our thoughts and prayers. He's been MIA, but he did tell us about a week and a half ago, Tom's got money.
Okay.
Tom, it went to.
But he lives in Somerville?
Yeah.
If you had money, why would you live in Somerville?
But listen, he always is traveling.
Okay.
Right now, he's somewhere out like west, New Mexico. I mean, I don't know.
Okay.
New Mexico, I
think he's okay then.
Yeah, but he hadn't called the show in like a week because.
Yeah, well, people have lives. You know?
But not Tom in Somerville. Tom in Somerville. If you know Tom in Somerville, he doesn't have a life. He really doesn't. But you know what? That was weird to see that fight. I did want to ask you about that.
Yeah, here's the thing. Yes, it's bad and it's funny all at the same time, but it's not something that really shocks me that much.
No, I'm with you. Yeah.
I grew up in an era, man, where that kind of thing, I don't want to say it was common, but it happened a lot more than it does now. Yeah. And I can remember
fights at softball games?
At any sporting event. I remember being at Seneca Daniel one time, and Daniel had, this was probably 20 years ago or more, Seneca Daniel football, it's at Daniel. Daniel's up in the fourth quarter. They got the game pretty well in hand.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, the game stops because there's a brawl right behind the south end zone right at the gate. So it's not something that I necessarily find that rare because I've seen it.
It's not good. It's not good.
No, it's not good.
Encourage it. But I will say this. Maybe that's a good, not like the fans fighting, but maybe that's a good summertime radio topic or conversation to have, to
best
table.
Crowd brawls you've ever seen?
Or not crowd, but best sporting event brawls.
I seen one at Broome one time in a basketball game, girls basketball game. Broome and
girls basketball?
Yeah, and it broke out.
Man, that's a good subject. Let's do that. Let's Tola's June or July. Let's come back to that because there's been some good South Carolina Clemson. My first ever South Carolina Clemson game was the brawl.
Oh yeah, I remember that one. Yeah.
How do you not? Right? What year was that now?
I don't know. It was a while back.
That was my first
back
ever.
when you were in the Underoos and I was just starting in the business.
2004.
Yeah, so I wasn't even in the business yet, and you were barely alive.
I was alive.
You were born when? 97?
96.
96?
I'm young.
Yeah. You were in Underoos still.
No. How old was I?
Yeah, 8 years old.
8 years old.
Yeah.
8 years old.
Watching cartoons and eating rainbow cereal.
That was my first Carolina Clemson game, was the brawl. I'll tell you this. You know how some things in life you remember like it was yesterday? I remember that one like it was yesterday. I do. I'll tell you this. I remember what kind of started it all. I don't know if you remember this, but before the game, it was at Clemson. Lou Holtz, this is no lie. I remember it like it was yesterday. Lou Holtz in the Gamecocks went to the bottom of the hill when Clemson ran down the hill. You remember that?
I don't remember.
It probably
that
wasn't televised because it probably wasn't part of the product. But yeah, I'm sitting there as an 8-year-old kid, my first ever game, first ever Clemson Carolina game, and I remember very specifically. Again, the fight wasn't until the second half, but Lou Holtz, no kidding, the head coach of the team, and some of the team went down to the bottom of the hill.
That was a bad move.
I'll grab this phone call real quick.
Yeah, wasn't that the year after that it was 63-17 game? I think that was the year after 63-17. And I think that's where the hard feelings kind of started.
Yeah, there's a lot of hard feelings when that time of year, or that era. From
rivalry week, baby.
Madcraft wants to weigh in on the phone lines, 844-FAN-PHONE, 844-326-6663. He said on the stream that he was unburying the hatchet that he and I buried a couple of days ago about the Braves. What did I do now, Matt?
No, not necessarily, but Rob is about to see a fight. Listen here. Did you say that you believe in luck?
Yeah, so to set the scene, so to bring Rob in and any other Tolos that just got in the car and are headed home, here's what happened. There's a promo that runs on the station of Rob Brown.
Yes.
I'm talking to Rob Jones right here sitting across from me. This Rob Brown promo says, luck is not a real thing. You weren't lucky, you were unprepared in sports. And I came back at 4:40 and debunked that, or 4:20, and I said that was the dumbest thing I've ever heard, that luck was absolutely a real thing, that if a ball that could be potentially the walk-off home run hits the foul pole, and then the next pitch, it doesn't go their way.
Yeah.
Teams get lucky. It
Yeah,
happens.
sure.
Ball bounces your way. There are here's the reason I say that, Matt. I've watched way too many sporting events where luck has been a part of the game for me not to say luck's not a real thing. Are you telling me I'm wrong?
No, I'm not. I'm just asking to make sure. So you do believe in luck?
100%, yeah.
Okay, all right. So here's my question. Mm-hmm. Okay, if you believe in a mystical force that you can't actually quantify in any way, and you believe it can affect the outcome of a game, then how come my original statement of high morale between a fan base can lead to increased ticket sales, more louder games at home, and playing feeler supported? Do you not believe that would then in turn possibly make a team play better, just as your luck scenario is?
Because first of all,
believe in one
first of all, your definition of luck is way off. And then you said, I believe that luck.
A gust of wind.
That luck can.
A gust of wind.
Wait a minute. Then you said luck can determine the outcome of a game. Is that what you said?
Right. So if a football player is kicking a field goal and a gust of wind happens to push it left, you're saying that's not luck, or is it luck?
Okay, let's break down the scenario here. If a team's kicking a field goal, let's say it's a 54-yarder, right?
Okay.
The longer the distance, the more wind affects it, right?
Sure.
54-yarder in Chicago. Let's say it's 3 to 4 mile-an-hour winds. The ball's kicked. All of a sudden, the wind gusts up to 15, 20 miles an hour.
Mm-hmm.
The ball moves left. He misses the field goal. I think the team that is not kicking the field goal caught a tremendous break and got lucky because at that certain time, the wind kicked up and the ball missed. Am I wrong, Rob?
I think you're right to a degree. But I also think we got to take into account the kicker, the level of competition. 54 yards is a heck of a field goal in some levels.
Okay, Matt, do you? I mean,
but the idea though is that look, it surely happened in your stance. My question is all from my original argument, Cole, which is where I said that fan morale matters. What you say to hype up fans on the radio. Remember, that was my original argument.
But fan morale
But that's
has
not his
nothing.
job. That's not your job to hype up any fan.
What does fan morale have to do with luck?
Wait a minute. Hold on. Because it's an indirect thing. If you say like a city, if a city is supporting and lifting up its players, right? You're going to tell me that that's not luck if they just so happen to outperform themselves.
No.
Because
Matt.
the team is. Hold on, it's just intangibles, right?
No.
That's all we're talking about.
No, that has not. Morale and luck are that's two different things. I mean, if
both mystical. You don't believe that a fan's morale can affect the team, but you believe that luck can. But you can't quantify either of them. So why do you believe in one force but not the other?
They're two totally different things, Madcraft. Fan morale. Okay, let me break.
They're the same.
No, they're not the same thing. Let me break this down. Fan morale. If we are at a game, see, you're so off base because you're generalizing this. If I am sitting here behind this microphone saying the Braves suck, I might get Rob and Spartanburg upset because the Braves suck. If his morale is down because of me saying that on the radio, that does not in any way
change the team at all.
The team.
Yeah.
Now, if I'm in front of 80,000 people and with a microphone, and I do what Pat McAfee did the other night, and I pump the crowd up, or I say, "Hey, you all are a bunch of losers and your team sucks." Yeah, I can change I can change the morale of the fans.
You can change the climate of the audience.
Right. Yeah. That's right.
Okay, so
but that has nothing.
How many Braves listeners listen to this show?
Let's say let me pull off 74.
Yeah, but we don't work for the Braves.
Right.
We don't work for the Braves,
well,
so
no,
our
but
job is to not make people
but your
feel good
market-
about it.
Well,
It
no,
is
but
our
you
market.
have a market.
Yeah.
But you have a market.
And our job is to be
you-
honest about
Yes.
what the team is doing.
Yes.
Of course. I didn't say don't be honest. That you have to remember all of my original arguments. Okay? You specifically
But
told
what
me
does luck
that
have to
fan
do with morale?
Had zero effect. Fan morale had zero effect on a team's outcome. But you're also going to say that a gust of wind, like a lucky gust of wind, that will have an outcome. But you're saying that fans cheering in the stands, we know home field advantage does. So why can't an indirect influence from fans?
Time out. Now
such
we're
as
talking
one
about.
like
Now
team
we're talking
morale?
about. Now we're talking about different things. Fans
No, we're not.
impacting the game is home field advantage.
Yes.
That can affect the game.
Sure.
Me
Absolutely.
sitting
That's a
behind a
direct
microphone talking about how bad the Braves suck doesn't change what the Braves are going to do tonight.
Right. So you missed what I said earlier. Then, okay, if a city is buzzing with enough fan support, then you see increased ticket sales. You see louder games. You see and direct influence increase. But that comes from fan morale. Okay? That starts from the very beginning. If a lot of people think that the team is going to suck because they're continuously told it, they're not going to go. Okay? Fan morale matters. I'm going to end it there.
Okay, I've never said. Did I ever say fan morale didn't matter? Did I say that? Oh, we hung up. That might be the all-time dumbest call we've ever gotten.
I'm not exactly sure what
he's
the
trying
argument is.
Again, that's every one of his calls. It's kind of like
I mean,
Texter says real quick. Texter says Cole's statement on the Braves does not affect my morale. The fact that the team sucks does.
Yes.
Thank you, Texter.
And
Logical text.
Here's the thing. You can say, like, in the beginning of the season, coming up to opening day, you can say they suck all you want to. In 2 or 3 weeks, a month, 2 months, you're going to know if they do or not. And if they don't, then nobody's going to care what you said.
Madcraft thinks that my morale affects how they play.
No, not at all.
I don't think that.
He's got the rabbit foot and the lucky sock, too. I mean, what else are we going to do?
I don't know, man. I don't.
And unless you work, because I've worked for some teams directly and stuff like that, unless you work for somebody directly like that, your job is to not be a sunshine pumper.
Take
That's
the
not your job.
sunglasses
Yeah.
off, yeah.
Now, when you're the voice of a certain team or you're
Sure.
working with a certain team, yeah, you have to be a sunshine pumper to some degree.
That's right. And there are
in
those
that
out
role.
there, by the way.
Oh, there's a lot of them. I used to work with a ton of them just down the road here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, but you're right.
Oh, yeah, I know a whole bunch of them.
100%.
We can call out some names. if you want to.
I'm with you. Hey, good thing we didn't have time to get to the other conversation you and I were having today. We're not going there. We don't have time.
Okay.
Don't have
Okay.
time.
Oh, we're not going to talk about the brand new YouTube sensation?
Not that. Not that. The other one.
Oh.
That I told you I didn't want to bring.
Do you want to talk about the
No,
brand new
no.
YouTube sensation?
Maybe later.
I am enthralled.
He's Daredevil, by the way.
Yes.
He's great.
That's what I'm saying. I'm enthralled by this.
We can't do it now. We got to run the break. Steve Spurrier. You know him? You ever heard of Steve Spurrier?
Yeah, the old ball coach.
Most people
the
have,
OCB.
right?
Or OBC.
I love it. I love it. Steve Spurrier joined me today at 2:30. He called me on the phone. I knew he was going to call me. I just didn't know when. He called me at 2:30. I said, Coach, when do you want to do the interview? He said, I want to do it right now. So what do we do? Did the interview right then. Steve Spurrier, next. right, next guest on Wire to Wire right here on the Fan Upstate. I am excited. I'm thrilled to have Coach Steve Spurrier on the show today. Coach, how are you, man?
Oh, we're doing fine. I'm watching our Gators get clobbered by East Carolina in the National Baseball Championship match out there in Omaha. But that'll only be one loss. Hopefully we can bounce back.
Absolutely, Coach. Always appreciate you taking time. A pleasure catching up with you. The college baseball regionals you mentioned. Are you a big fan of that?
Oh, I'm a fan of all sports, and we've had a good season in baseball, and started poorly, but after that put it together. But we're down 11-2 right now to East Carolina, so. Yeah, hopefully we can make a comeback. It is double elimination.
That's right. Steve Spurrier joining me right here on the Fan Upstate, legendary college football coach, Heisman Trophy winning quarterback, championship winning coach as well, 1966 Heisman Trophy winner at the University of Florida. Obviously, his time at South Carolina as well, transforming them into a contender. The 11-win seasons at South Carolina, college football legend, icons, Coach Spurrier joining us right here on the Fan Upstate. Coach, when you visited South Carolina just a few weeks ago, there was a lot of talk about your trip up to Columbia to see Dawn Staley and her statue being unveiled. First of all, didn't know you were going to be in attendance for that. How was it, Coach?
Well, I didn't know I was going to be there either until the day before when Dr. Jeff Guy, our team orthopedic there at South Carolina, called and told me about it. And we didn't have anything to do till about 5 o'clock that night. So Jerry and I, my wife, went to it. And they had a couple of chairs there with all the family and so forth. So it was fun to watch the event. And obviously, Dawn, we go back to, I was there first. And then she came about 3 years later, I think, 7, 8, something like that. Mm-hmm. And got a chance to go to her games there at the Colonial. And there was all 200 or so of us at some of those early games. So we've seen it go from 200 to 18,000. Wow. So I would say she was pretty remarkable there at South Carolina, and it still continues certainly to be.
Coach, what do you look at in terms of her success, talking about Dawn Staley at South Carolina? What do you look at as the reason for that success? I mean, obviously, getting to the mountaintop is challenging in itself, but her ability to keep that program at the top of college basketball and the women's sport has been truly remarkable. Yeah,
it certainly is. And she has the two qualities that winners have. First of all, she hates losing, not just I can't stand it. I mean, I hate losing. And then after that, preparation, she has her team constantly prepared to play the best they can. And then she loves doing things that have never been done before. And certainly, she's done everything just about possible there at South Carolina, but she loves to continue winning championships and so forth. So anyway, yeah, we've been good friends, and we went to that event, and then I was just in town after the Reynolds Plantation. The Peach Bowl has a golf tournament for former coaches and so forth. So I played with Hugh Freeze, actually, and actually we caught third place, which was actually pretty good for our team, I think. Shane Beamer was there playing, and Urban Meyer won it again with Mike Norvell, the FSU coach.
Yeah.
They won by like one shot or something, and we were like two back. But anyway, that's why. And then we came over to Columbia, and then I actually flew out of Columbia the day after that.
Coach, we appreciate you hopping on with us as we're joined right now by Steve.
Let me also say something, Cole, real quick. A day or two ago, one of my former players at South Carolina passed away. Dacus Thurman. Dacus was a running back with us my first year, 05. And Fran Person was on that team, called me, told me about it yesterday, just a sudden, I guess, a heart attack or whatever. But I tell you what, pound for pound, he might have been one of the toughest players, Dacus Thurman, to ever play at South Carolina. And I still remember the Florida game in 05. South Carolina hadn't beaten Florida since 1938, and we beat them that day. Dacus scored on like a 4th and 2 right up the middle, ran through about 3 guys for the touchdown. And it was certainly a memorable day for all the Gamecocks to finally beat the Gators after a lot of years and so forth. And I remember after the game, Urban Meyer said, we came up here thinking they were going to throw the ball all over the place, and they ran the ball like 45 times and only threw 17 passes. So Dacos was a big reason for that, and, man, pound for pound, he was one of the best I've ever coached. So sorry to hear about that, and just want to say something really nice about Dacos Thurman.
Absolutely. That's really really nice there, Coach. I'm glad you did get that in, as we're joined by Steve Spurrier right here on the Fan Upstate. Coach, what's retirement life? I know you're not retired. You still are employed at Florida. What's life like for you now?
Oh, I stay pretty busy. Just got back actually from Pebble Beach. They have a coach's golf event out there that I've been playing in. Well, first year I went, I think it was 1992. So about 33 years ago. So they have a bunch of retired coaches come and current coaches, 30 total coaches, and they bring 3 guys with them. So you bring your own team, and they have a handicap division and then just a low gross division also. I used to be able to play well enough to win the thing about 5 times, but my team's in the middle of the pack right now. So, but anyway, it's just a wonderful event to go out there and see a whole bunch of coaches from all over the country. SEC coaches can't go because they have their meetings at the same time, and neither one are going to change their times. So you don't see any SEC football coaches out there.
Well, Coach, it's awesome talking to you here for a few minutes. I want to get your thoughts on what Coach Shane Beamer and his staff have done at South Carolina. Obviously, I'm sure you still keep up with them a pretty good bit.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, they've done well. They've done very well. Denoris, he was our freshman of the year last year. One of the not local sports writer, but national sports writer guy. They have a freshman of the year, and Denoris won it. And he and Shane came down to Gainesville. This is in late February, I think we have this event. And Shane's dad, Frank Beamer, was our legend coach of the year. So it was good to see Coach Beamer also. But yeah, he's done very well, and it's a tough league, as we all know. And but I think they're heading in the right direction.
Absolutely, Coach. Do you think people realize how tough of a job it is to be the head football coach at South Carolina? Not only because of them being in the SEC, but them not having the tradition and the history that a lot of programs in the SEC does.
Well, there's a lot of tough jobs everywhere, and but when I was coaching, I didn't worry about what had happened in the past.
Right.
When I first got there, somebody said, "Did you know there's a curse on South Carolina football?" I said, "You got to be kidding! There's no curse on football. We're just getting our butts beat because we don't know how to win." And so anyway, after we won a few games that first year and then won those 11 in a row, 3 years in a row. You can win at South Carolina. You can win everywhere. I always said we get 11 players and they get 11. If we can get our guys ready to play better than they can, and our guys want it more than them, then certainly you can win. Yeah, it's not impossible.
Coach, what would your coaching style be in today's college football with the game changing as much as it has with NIL and the portal?
Well, certainly you got to do what your competition does. So you got to spend money. And South Carolina, we've got the supporters. We got the guys, financial guys behind us there. And, of course, so does Florida. Just about all the sort of big-time SEC, Big Ten schools and Pac-12 and so forth. So it's pretty competitive. I sort of wish they would put a cap on it. Every team's got, is it $20 million or $30 million to spend on their football program each year. I just think that would help even it out a little bit, but whatever the rules are, you just go by them and go from there.
Coach, do you like the direction college football is headed?
I think they're going to put some kind of cap on it eventually here. Yeah. We keep hearing they are, but they haven't done it yet. So, but I tell you what, the sport has more sellouts. TV ratings are up. So college football, one guy one time said it's the greatest game ever invented. And nobody can argue with that because the interest and the passion at all the schools is just remarkable.
Coach,
just get the money part straightened out, and we'll really everybody be happy again.
Coach, my last question for you, as we're joined right here on the Fan Upstate by legendary head ball coach Steve Spurrier. When you look, you're with Florida still. You still are employed by the university. When you look at what Billy Napier has done, obviously faced a lot of criticism. I don't know if a coach in recent years has faced as much criticism as he had. There have been a lot of people wanting Billy Napier fired, obviously. Your thoughts on the job he's done and just how impatient we can be in this new landscape of college football?
Yeah, certainly he was in hot water, I guess you'd say, at the middle of the season. And we had a big turnaround. We beat LSU and then Ole Miss at home and won, I think, 5 straight games to finish 8-5, I think it ended up. So recruiting's gone pretty well. We're predicted to do better this year. And so I think we got a chance. And, there's no question Billy was on the hot seat at the middle of the season. And winning got him off the hot seat. But he's a wonderful guy. And I think he's an excellent coach. And maybe the atmosphere and the attitude of the team really improved through the last half of last year.
You miss coaching?
Oh, I miss the coaching. Yeah, I don't miss the other part. I miss coaching the game. That's what I guess I should say. The games are always the most fun for me. If you love competing, then that gives you a chance to go compete every week. The off-season stuff, I don't miss the stuff they go through now.
Coach, we appreciate your time.
I think we've got 15 recruits coming in this weekend, I heard.
Wow. How about that?
And when they come in, remember they used to be able to bring your parents?
Yeah.
Now they can bring their uncles and their cousins. I think each recruit, somebody said, to bring like 5 or 6 people with it. And so I'm involved in a restaurant down here, Spurrier's Gridiron Grill.
Yeah. How's that going?
And they didn't rent out the top part, what we call visors, as a part of the top restaurant. They rented out the whole restaurant for this event Saturday night. So, it's done well. We've had it almost 4 years now. So that gives me something to do also.
Absolutely. Well, Coach, we sure do appreciate you.
Dawn Staley, they're trying to get Dawn Staley, and I am with her, to do one in Columbia. We've talked about it. I don't know how close we are doing it, but there's some people up there working on that. So Staley Spurrier's Gamecock Grill, we'd like to call it.
Ooh.
So that's something we talk about. I don't know if it'll ever happen.
I like it. Coach, we sure do appreciate your time. And
right, Cole, good talking to you.
Good to talk to you, Coach. That was the one and the only head ball coach, Steve Spurrier. Really, really good stuff there. That was freaking awesome. Appreciate Coach Spurrier for that. If you missed it or tuned in late, you can go back on the free Odyssey app and catch the whole interview there or on the fanupstate.com. We'll continue the conversation. Buddy Rob Jones is still in the building as well. One more hour to go right here on the Fan Upstate. No. I want to say thanks again to Steve Spurrier for joining me today. It was funny how it happened, but when he calls, you answer. And when he says he wants to do an interview at that exact time, you do it at that exact time.
Yep. The man's a legend. He gets to call the shots.
I was going to say, I didn't get to say, Coach, let's actually push it. No, you do it, right?
No, because if you push it, you're probably not getting it back.
What if he would, 100%.
Yeah.
What if he would have called at 3:30, though, instead of 2:30?
Oh.
Then I'd have been in a bind, right?
Then you let me talk to him.
Just start yelling your name down the hall as loud as I can.
Or text me.
While I've
I would have came over.
While I've
around
got
the hall.
Steve Spurrier on the phone, I'm doing a show. Rob, that'd have been. I don't know what I would have done.
I don't think, or I don't know. You text him and say, "Call this number," and just put
You
him
think
up
he
live.
texts though?
Nobody can read.
Hey, speaking of read, want to read this? I did miss Scotty from BMW's text on the Hub City Spartanburgers text line. Scotty says, "Cole, everybody's giving you way more credit and power than you deserve. Just because your take on the Braves suck, and the whole United States knows it now. Don't worry about it. Go Yankees." That comes from Scotty from BMW. Funny text here. I
was with him till the go Yankees.
The Yankees did. Yeah, he did. Let me ask you this real important question. We discussed this at about 4 o'clock today, 4:15.
Okay.
I had a lot of text. The one segment that had the most text.
Okay.
Not a sports segment. Believe it or not. Me and a buddy yesterday were having the conversation. It happened to him twice at work. A guy on email called him Bud twice. So it spurred this entire conversation today where on the show we asked if being called Bud by someone was disrespectful. If you think it's disrespectful when somebody calls you Bud. Hey, Bud. You think that's disrespectful?
It depends on the way they're using it, the tone they're using.
Yeah, somebody else said that on the text line. It was a 50-50 split on the text line. I think half of the people said they didn't have a problem with Bud, and then half of them said they did in terms of being called Bud or not. But I said Buddy a minute ago. I said my buddy Rob Jones. Buddy's different, though.
Maybe. I don't know. I have an uncle named Bud. I don't even know his real name.
It doesn't count if his name's Bud. His real name's not Bud, you said?
No.
Okay, well, and then you call him Bud. But it was a big conversation, man. I think the majority, I said 50-50 split. I think the majority of people said that being called Bud was disrespectful. There was also like Champ, DB, man. Dan B had
the
some
one
really
I
good
don't
ones.
like is Stud.
Why would you not like that?
Because I don't want another man calling me
that's
Stud.
true. That's true too. But so you're telling me if I said, "Hey, Bud, what's up?" You wouldn't think that was.
I wouldn't have no issue if you
Really?
said that. No,
Really?
You probably had said that to me on the phone.
No,
at
I don't
some
say
point
Bud.
or the other.
I don't say Bud.
Maybe you didn't.
I don't like.
I wouldn't even notice it unless you kept doing it.
I don't like using the word Bud because some, again, a large majority of the audience they do think it's a little bit disrespectful in terms of. Again, you said it. Your tone matters, right?
Yeah, and also who you're talking to kind of matters in that sense too.
Yeah, you don't call your boss Bud, right?
Yeah.
You don't walk into Hendrick's office and say, "Hey, Bud,"
right?
So again, then I think it is a little disrespectful, then, right? Because if you don't, again,
I think
maybe
you
it's
guys have way too
derogatory.
much time to worry about being disrespected. If that's the worst thing that somebody calls me in a week's time, I'm good.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I
I mean, that's the truth.
No, you're right. It is, but it was a huge topic of conversation earlier, man. We didn't know. We did not know if it was okay to be called Bud or not. It was
your friend. He felt disrespected.
Oh, 100%.
Oh, okay.
It happened twice. He said that is so not cool to call somebody Bud. You don't call somebody Bud. He felt he did. It happened twice. It was funny. But he did feel very, very disrespectful.
Also, the person saying it, do they say that to everybody? If it's part of their
That's a good
everyday
question.
vernacular,
Yeah.
then I don't know how upset I could be about it.
It's true. Makes sense. All right, Rob, appreciate you, man. I got a long drive. You live a long way away. You don't have a helicopter yet?
No helicopter yet. We're working on it.
Real quick question. The Clemson game got pushed back because of weather. I leave here the show ends at 6:53.
Okay.
I'll leave by 7.
Okay.
On a good day. Game starts at 7:30. Mm-hmm. What inning would it be if I floored it from here to Doug Kingsmore Stadium?
Well, you're going to get into traffic when you get over there. 85 South probably going to be trafficky with it being a Friday. I think you make it by the third inning probably.
Is it worth it, though? If you make it by the third inning, is it worth it?
For me, no. Because I don't want to go whether it's the third inning.
I know you don't. Don't hate on my Tigers. I'm just saying.
I'm not hating on the Tigers. I just don't have any desire.
I'm just curious. Is it worth it to go? I don't know.
And that's a determination only you can make, Cole Bryson.
I'm leaning no right now. Leaning no.
But, I'm a hard no. I'll go ahead and say that.
I appreciate that. Shane Connick, I'm leaning yes to. Shane Connick's the best. He joins us next. It's the final hour of the show, final hour, power hour, as you may call it, right here on the Fan Upstate. We have Shane Connick of the Charlotte Observer set to join us right now. But Shane, if you don't mind, I do have one caller who has been on hold for 20-plus minutes. If that's okay with you, let's take John's call right here in hour number 4. John, appreciate you listening to the show. How are you?
Man, the time flies when you're having fun listening to your show. Hey, that one guy that was trying to, equate fan motivation and, the adrenaline rush an athlete gets to luck is like really on a different plane. Luck has always got some normal, unexpected physical thing that happens. Randy Johnson hitting a bird, the gust of wind, a guy hitting a golf ball into the woods that hits a tree and bounces onto the green and he gets a hole in one. So there's definitely the luck. I mean,
Yes.
the guy that wins a $6 million to 1 lottery ticket, that's luck.
Yes. John, 100% correct on that.
Well, boy, that's the first time I've heard that.
Well, I am
am
told, well, that's funny too. I am told by Matt Kraft all the time, and that's who you were talking about, by the way, that called. I am told that I'm always wrong. And I don't know. To me, it's real easy on this whole luck thing. But I agree with you, John. I really do, man.
Well, I appreciate it because it is kind of like pretty simple if you just look at the circumstances.
Yeah. You would think so, right?
Well, yeah, common sense doesn't run along easily. Hey, listen, have a great night and
Hey,
better
John,
tomorrow.
appreciate you, man. Thank you for listening to the show.
Yeah, thanks for taking the call.
Absolutely. Appreciate you, Tolos, at 844-FAN phone. Let's go to the stream where the one and the only Shane Connick of the Charlotte Observer joins us right here on the Fan Upstate. Shane, how are you, buddy?
Doing great. I was about to be at Catawba Ridge down in Fort Mill, down for us, up for most of you guys for Game 2 of the SCHSL 5A Division II Baseball State Finals. That will now be tomorrow between Berkeley and Catawba Ridge. Now here's the thing. Game 1 was 10 innings before Berkeley, the Stags, pulled out a 2-1 victory. So a good series brewing over there.
Well, I was going to ask you. You look like you're at home, and you told me earlier you got to cover that game. By the way, the Burns High School Somerville Softball State Championship Game 3 was also moved. So the weather moving some games to tomorrow. By the way, that's Game 3 tomorrow as well for you that you're talking about with Berkeley.
That's actually going to be Game 2 with a chance for Game 3 now pushed to Monday, which would be in Sumter at the neutral site.
Yeah, neutral. Yeah. Okay, gotcha.
At Riley Park.
Shane Connick of the Charlotte Observer joining us right here on the Fan Upstate. Sick hat, by the way. What is that? I like that.
Yeah, thank you. It is opening day for the Premier Lacrosse League, the Carolina Chaos. They will be in Charlotte at American Legion Memorial Stadium next weekend, June 6th and June 7th. Tonight, 6 p.m., the Chaos open against the New York Atlas.
I didn't know you were a lacrosse guy, Shane.
Oh, I graduated from Maryland. You can't not be.
Fair enough.
They
I
actually,
will tell you, I watched the national champion, or was it the national championship the other day? Was that right?
Yeah, the Terps
I watched
lost.
it.
Yeah, the Cornell Big Red team this year.
Yeah, no doubt. Shane, appreciate you hopping on with me as always. As we are in hour number 4 of the show. If you Tolos have a question for Shane on the Hub City Spartanburgers text line, you can do so at 844-326-3663. Shane, real quick side note question. We're going to get into NASCAR, but this is NASCAR related. Have you watched the new Amazon Prime documentary yet? A 4-part episode on Dale Earnhardt. Have you checked it out?
I have. I haven't watched the whole. I haven't watched a whole thing yet. But the biggest thing that I noticed from also the reaction to it is just how there's stories been told so many times. Different people continue to tell this story and show it, and just the depth that they've been able to dive into, the number of people they've been able to talk to at this point. It really is something. Really is remarkable, and it's really cool how they've been able to do it.
I'm with you on that. I watched the first 2 last weekend, I believe Sunday or Monday, and then the last 2 came out yesterday. I hadn't watched those yet. I might this week. I hope to this weekend. But you're right on that. There have been stories, and I know there are probably a lot of people who grew up fans of the number 3, right? There have been stories in this documentary that even the diehard Dale Earnhardt fan, Shane, hadn't heard about him. Dale Jr. growing up, the home life. It's incredible. It really is a good documentary on Amazon Prime. So let's start with Prime. I will give you my opinion, and then I'll tell you or allow you to tell me if you agree or disagree and where you stand. I don't ever want to go back to Fox now. I don't ever want to go back to NBC, anywhere. I thought NASCAR on Prime Sunday night was the best product yet that I've seen. I loved it. Where do you stand on it, Shane?
They did a great job. They are doing a great job over at Prime Video. The next 4 races, you have not only is the booth outstanding with Adam Alexander, who's been great on the CW with the Xfinity Series, and Dale Jr. and Steve Letarte, who have been some of the best color analysts we had on the NBC broadcast in recent memory. And then to have Danielle Trotta and Carl Edwards and Corey LaJoie down there, an interesting group, constantly, not to mention how on Saturday and Sunday, the guests who joined them down at that desk, down in the pits, it's a really, really well done broadcast all the way around, and something that NASCAR really has as needed. To your point, it has made it wonder throughout the time you cover certain sports, and you could put on the game, you watch it on TV, someone's going to win, you could bet on it, whatever it is. With a NASCAR race, it really is one of those things that you got to be at the track to really experience it. And if you're at the racetrack, you do something with it, not being there, I can't describe it. I don't know what you can do where it's going to be the same whether you're at the track or you're just watching the broadcast. And so I feel like there is a lot of room to grow still. At the end of the day, it looked a lot like other broadcasts. The big differences are things like not going to as many commercials, especially later on in the race, especially for a race that long. You notice that. You really notice that no matter what with a race like the Coca-Cola 600 and how well Prime did just with keeping the race on itself. And then also just the coverage around it was great. And then my favorite thing that they did was, it's kind of funny. You saw that Goodyear blimp hanging up there at Charlotte Motor Speedway, but they were having drone shots go all the way down the city of Charlotte, and they were showing you going all the way down to Carowinds, coming on up to Uptown, and then making it all the way out to Concord. Just really cool visuals. And I feel like if you didn't know about NASCAR and you knew, Prime Video, they're at Charlotte, it had that this is a big event feel. And if you don't know it, well, this is NASCAR. You're watching the NASCAR race, and it really brought viewers into it.
It had a bigger feel than, in my mind, any NASCAR race I've watched this year. It did, to your point. I thought you said that so well there. With it being in Charlotte, obviously you were there, Shane. We talked to you live from the track on Friday of last week. It was incredible. And yeah, it was a long race. There's no doubt about that. But the drama in the race, I really enjoyed it. Let's get into the actual race. I'm not a Ross Chastain fan by any means. I think it's cool what he did, what he accomplished last to first over the weekend. We had an interview with him on the show today that was earlier today on one of our sister stations, and it was a great interview with Stoneman and Ross Chastain. However, Ross Chastain, in my mind, wasn't the storyline for the majority of the race, Shane. It was William Byron and what he was able to do, and Denny Hamlin and Carson Hocevar, who, because of Prime, we got raw reaction when his engine blew, right, of what his feelings were. I thought the Ross Chastain was the winner, but he wasn't the storyline for hardly any of the race.
And it was another one of those races where that's the case. We had almost like at Darlington kind of reminds me of that too, where William Byron just dominated. He said after the race, and I was like, let's pitch a perfect game. And he almost won it from the pole, dominated the race. And this just, not even just Byron's dominance, but the number of green flag laps that took off throughout the night of just Byron leading. Obviously, he swept all three, the one race that has all 4 stages. He won all 3 stage victories. And William Byron, just the dominant car, Denny Hamlin, looking like it's a battle between them, and we end up having the drama that a good race could have toward the end, and Ross Chastain being able to do everything perfectly right. His pit crew had the best day you could have at the Coca-Cola 600, and the number 1 team went from the back all the way to number 1 in victory lane.
And you know what? That's not talked about enough on a day that was filled with conversation, Shane, about the Indy 500, which I did watch. I don't know if you got to keep an eye on it much with you being at the track, but I was honestly more interested in the Coca-Cola 600, to be quite honest with you. But I will say, we don't talk enough about in sports comebacks, right? And all of the epic comebacks. Ross Chastain does deserve a lot of credit, not only him but his team. I mean, they didn't get any sleep the night before, rebuilding a car because of a wreck on Saturday. Is that right?
Yeah, they the day before, after Ross wrecked his car during practice, they all talked about it after the fact. You had shop employees who were just out at concerts and ball games and whatnot on Saturday night, and everybody got to the shop, kept rebuild. The backup car was already built, but just rebuilding it to really get every part of the engine, every part of the car ready to run in the Coca-Cola 600 the following day. Some of the final employees leaving the shop at 2:30, the earliest ones getting there at about 5 a.m. Crew chief Phil Surgeon noting he slept for about 2.5 hours. Just a wild 48 hours or so for the number one team, even if they didn't pull off this miraculous comeback victory like it all played out. But just a really interesting story for one of the sport's most iconic events.
Shane, tell me if you sense this happening for more people than just me. So, obviously, growing up, I pulled for Junior, right, being one of the more polarizing drivers during his time period. After that, even leading up to recent years, Shane, when it comes to NASCAR, I really didn't have, like, a driver. I liked certain drivers at times. I still like certain drivers at times, right? But there's one driver that I'm starting to gravitate towards, and he almost was in the conversation at the end on Sunday night in Charlotte. And he's young. He's all over social media. He does a lot with Chili's. He's funny. I think he's gained a lot of popularity because of TikTok and social media. But not only is he good in what he does online, but Spurrier Motorsports, Shane, they've got some serious dangerous speed. And what Carson Hocevar has done, I'm starting to kind of gravitate toward him a little bit. I don't know if it's just me or if it's NASCAR fans, more NASCAR fans out there than just me.
No, he's cool. We were talking about this last week with Diesel also about how he's been on the track throughout his up-and-coming NASCAR career. I mean, that Truck Series championship a couple of years ago, he got into Corey Heim, and then Heim ended up wrecking Hocevar, and Hocevar then after had a really good, I did not mean to ride, was not trying to wreck it. And you could tell he's a character. You could tell he's a good race car driver. You could tell he's smart. And you could tell he has one of those personalities that really fits well with the sport today and on social media, to your point. And so Carson Hocevar has been great. I mean, last year's Rookie of the Year, now his second year in the Cup Series. There was one time this year down at Atlanta Motor Speedway after that race. Hocevar was in the conversation that time as well. And then some drivers approached him on pit road following the checkered flag. That his racing was pretty aggressive. And people had different things to say to him. And Carson was talking to a bunch of reporters out there after it. And he was just like, no, we were just talking about the triple dipper at Chili's. So,
he plays it off smooth, doesn't he?
Oh, yeah.
I don't know, man. I'm starting to gravitate toward him. Maybe I was telling a buddy of mine, maybe he's my new driver.
I mean, everything he says. I mean, even just this past weekend at Charlotte, I asked him about, because we're talking about the old Coca-Cola vending machine that the winner of the Coca-Cola 600 ends up getting. And it's interesting. It's ironic that this was a conversation because he actually was starting in 39th, behind, like on the back row with Ross Chastain. And I asked him just something about the vending machine. And he was like, yeah, a bunch of guys on my crew love to drink. So we've been talking about that vending machine all week. So maybe we'll do it from the back. And it sounded like even he was saying it sarcastically. And then we did have a winner from the back.
He really is, man. He's something else. And I do think with NASCAR in recent years not being as popular, I think drivers, I don't think there's enough emphasis put on this, Shane, and I don't think this conversation is talked about enough, but I think drivers like Carson who are able to create a following because of their likability on social media, and maintain that in the world that we have with influencers and social media being as powerful as a tool as it is, I think that's something that NASCAR should really tap into, because you've got older drivers who are, like Denny is older, but he's still on podcast. He still has his podcast, still on social media. But when you attract followers and then they like you because of your following and who you are, and then they'll watch NASCAR because, oh, you're racing a car too, I think there's an area there that NASCAR really needs to tap into that people don't realize. Like, a lot of TV shows and movies are watched just because of what people see on social media now.
And that's the whole thing about NASCAR, that these guys all have their platforms. None of them are not going to have that, but it's all niche within the NASCAR world. That's why when you have someone like Ross Chastain, who he wins a race and he smashes a watermelon, that kind of thing has the opportunity to make people turn their heads beyond just the NASCAR world. And so it's little things like that about how these guys promote themselves and how other people look at them. And I think then you notice the popularity when you look at Tony Breidinger, the woman driver who's been in the Xfinity series, and you look at Haley Deegan, who had previously been in the Xfinity series full time, and you notice they have millions of followers on Instagram per se. And so now, who I think, so we talked about this on the show a bit, and he made another Cup Series start at the Coca-Cola 600, but there's an 18-year-old driver named Connor Zilich. We've talked about him a little bit on here, and I think NASCAR fans are going to be continuing to talk about him some more. He has won in almost every form of motorsports. He's lived overseas in Europe for years as a kid. He's grown up here in Charlotte, born and raised, and now at 18 years old is running in NASCAR Cup Series races.
It is impressive. It really is. Shane Connick, the Charlotte Observer. Shane, when you look at what happened to Denny Hamlin, he was as strong as anybody Sunday night in Charlotte. And I tell you what, that battle between him and William Byron was fascinating. Denny will rebound, there's no doubt. William Byron, I don't think there's any panic there either. But I guess with William Byron, it's a little bit different, because even though he has won before, there's been there's been moments this year where he has had chance after chance. I believe it was Talladega, and then again on Sunday in Charlotte, where he was as strong as anybody, but at the very end just kind of ran out of juice. It's going to be tough for his team right now with not being able to kind of finish it off.
And that's something about Hendrick Motorsports, though. And even certain other teams. I mean, even worse, 23XI, when you look at Tyler Reddick and how he won at Talladega, he won that playoff race at Homestead, but for a driver who won last year's regular season championship, not often or really ever winning races, but you look at how the 45 team is able to accumulate the points. You look at how well Bubba Wallace and now Riley Herbst do with racking up stage points. And so now you're starting to see with Hendrick Motorsports, Kyle Larson can win his share of races, but DNFs are piling up for the stronger drivers more and more. And then you see how great Chase Elliott is with running laps and with posting strong finishes, that then he'll get a win here and there, or he even won't. And then someone like William Byron had the 1 year a couple of years back when he just won, I think, 6 races throughout the year, and then ended up falling short when you got into the championship 4. Now you're kind of seeing it again, that he won the Daytona 500 now the past 2 years, but then beyond that, he's one of the best cars in the series. The Hendrick cars are strong, but the way that those 4 cars are trying to work with each other and maximize points, William Byron is dominating a lot of these races. And then when he's going to get the wins, or when any of those cars are going to get the wins, it feels like with Hendrick, you don't know when they're going to come as much. You don't know when Kyle Larson's going to end up getting his share of wins.
Shane, you are the absolute best. Appreciate you as always. Hate that your softball got I don't know if I say hate. You might enjoy the Friday night off, right?
Yeah, but, well, all the other sports are happening anyway now, so.
Shane Connick, the Charlotte Observer, always appreciate you, man.
Oh, yeah.
Shane is the best. Give him a follow on Twitter if you haven't done so already. Really good stuff, really good coverage when it comes to NASCAR and other sports, too. It's not just NASCAR. 2 days in a row, we've had an observer on. We had Mike K yesterday, Shane Connick today. How about that? We are truly observing right here on the Fan Upstate. When we come back, We had an excellent interview earlier with Will Vandervoort of the Clemson Insider. Their regional happening right now, and Clemson plays here in about 1 hour. Clemson fans, really good stuff here from Will. You do not want to miss this next.
We got it to go away here in Clemson, and really, to be honest and selfishly, that's all that matters to me. So you're on your own over there, guys.
Yeah.
But we're good over here now.
So, I mean, really, it's looking okay? I mean, does it look like most of the storms are out of the area? I know you're not a meteorologist, but...
I'm not a meteorologist by any means, but I can tell when the skies are clearing and they're going to blue skies. And that's what's happening here. Got a little bit of wind gusts blowing in from center field. But looks nice. They started. They're at the top of the third now. The Kentucky-West Virginia game, no score. So moving, I'm not going to say it. I almost said it. But
Yeah.
I almost said it. but they're in the third inning, so right now, top of the third, just start the top of the third, no score. So there's baseball going on here at the Clemson Regional, and hopefully they'll get a little bit played here later on this evening as well.
Well, the show ends at 6:52:30. I can be out of the door in Greenville right here off of Woodruff Road by 6:55. You think I can make it to Clemson by 7:35, let's say?
Yeah, I would say so. I think you'd be good to go. The game would probably be maybe in the first or second inning by the time you get here. So I think you'll be okay.
Okay. All right, I may give it a try because originally if it was at 6:30, I wouldn't be able to make it. Will Vandervoort of the Clemson Insider joining me right here on the Fan Upstate. Will, when you look at these two teams, before we get into the Tigers, West Virginia and Kentucky, we had the head coaches on the show earlier this week, but what do you think Clemson fans will be intrigued about most when it comes to these two teams playing right now?
Oh, well, it's interesting because West Virginia, of course, ended the season on a little bit of a slump. They were playing good real early in the year, but then they played the hardest part of their schedule, much like Clemson did a few weeks ago at the end of the year. And they come in struggling, went 1-1 in the Big 12 tournament. They were, I think they got swept by Kansas, if I'm not mistaken, at the end of the year. So, they're coming in a little bit of a slump here. And right now, it's so far seeming that way. Both teams kind of playing decently. I know Kentucky had bases loaded with one out to start the first inning and hit into a double play, and that helped West Virginia get out of that hole. But as far as Kentucky, it's been an up and down year all year for them. Obviously, the SEC is loaded just like the ACC is, and competition's really good. But this is a team that could be really dangerous because you got to remember, where did they end up last year? They ended up in Omaha.
Yeah.
And this is a team that still got some players from that team. They know how to win in these kind of games. And so I think both of these guys will be tough outs for Clemson, regardless of who it is they get, if Clemson is to get in the next game, whether it's in the winner's bracket or the loser's bracket.
Hey, Will, your reaction to seeing two blue bloods in college baseball in Wake Forest and Florida on the wrong end of things right now. East Carolina beating Florida 11-2 and Cincinnati beating Wake Forest 10-4.
Yeah, I say the Florida one surprises me more than the Wake Forest one, just because East Carolina, if you remember, they had to play their way into the tournament, and they did that. They won their conference tournament and got in, and now they're taking advantage of it, and they're playing a Florida team that at the end of the year, Florida's playing really good, right? I mean, so this is a surprise to see Florida kind of struggling here to start off a regional. Didn't see that coming, I'll be honest with you, and we'll see if where they go from the losers bracket, which looks like they're going to have to do. But as far as Wake Forest goes, not surprised with Wake Forest. I'll tell you why, guys, because I thought Cincinnati would be a tough team anyway.
Yeah.
Cincinnati's a really good baseball team, and I knew that was going to be a tough matchup for Wake Forest, especially considering Wake Forest struggles pitching the ball right this year, which I know that's crazy to say because they've been such a good pitching team for the last however many years. But this year, it hasn't been their thing, and they've really struggled on the mound, and it showed here in this regional.
Will, how's the crowd for that first game?
Pretty good, especially considering it's a 3-hour delay. But there's, most of the first baseline and third baseline are filled. And so I would say it's a really good, because you got two, let's be honest, two very good fan bases in Kentucky and West Virginia. They travel well, and they're definitely done that here. No surprise they've done that for this game. So it's a good crowd. I mean, the left field and right field are not filled in, but when your grandstands are almost filled in, that's a good crowd for the first game of a regional. Better than I've seen in recent years for Clemson Regional.
Now, sold out crowd tonight, though, right?
Oh yeah, there'll be about 7,000 here for the night, and that's going to be an interesting thing, guys, to watch, because USC Upstate, yes, they've played here before. Their players have played here before, but they haven't played here on a weekend when 7,000 people are here and this place is packed. And it's going to be a night game. Now it's going to be like a 7 o'clock start, so it's even going to be more of a night game. So that's going to be an interesting I want to see how they handle this environment, because this is going to be a pretty raucous environment here tonight.
Will Vandervoort of the Clemson Insider joining me right here on the Fan Upstate for a few more minutes. Will, when you heard the news, when you heard Eric Backett say that he was going with Titsworth over Aiden Canuck today against USC Upstate, your reaction immediately was?
Not surprised at all. Yeah. I thought this was the move. You know, I could have gone with Bell also, being that I think Clemson, you know, my whole thing is, you know, Clemson, they've beaten them before. They beat them with, you know, the same lineup with their midweek guys. And so I would have been fine either way with either one. But, you know, going with Titsworth makes a lot of sense because you go ahead and you got your second best pitcher. If you get the win, then it sets you up good for tomorrow night because you know these two guys are playing their top pitchers. And so tomorrow you're going to be playing their number two. And so you got your number one going against their number two, which is an advantage for Clemson, you would think. So I think it was a good move. And now you just hope you get to Sunday unscathed. And then, like, by that point, whoever you play is going to be pitching their fourth or fifth pitcher, right? So should give you an edge in that game as well.
You feel like there was more reward on the back end than there was risk on the front end, and Eric Backett said he knew the whole time as well that he was going with Titsworth.
Yeah, more. There's more reward on the front end, absolutely. The risk is on the back end because if they lose that game, let's say they win tonight and they win tomorrow, which is what I think we all expect, right? If they do that and then they get to Sunday and they lose that game, now – you're getting into more of your bullpen. And Clemson truly doesn't have a fourth guy, in my opinion, right now. And so that's kind of where, you know, the concern is, can they win it? Sure, because everybody else, if they get to that point, will be playing their, like I said, their fourth or fifth pitcher as well. So, but we saw ACC tournament last week when Clemson got to their fourth, they got to the midweek guys, right? It just didn't work out for them against North Carolina. And that West Virginia team, especially, is probably the most dangerous hitting team in this field in this tournament here at Clemson. And if you get West Virginia and your pitching ain't good that day, you could be a long day at ballpark to make you hit the baseball.
Will, do you agree with what Eric Backett said earlier in the week when talking about USC Upstate, that this was the best 4 seed in the nation?
Well, they played well as of late, and they got a pitcher who can really throw it well. The Big South Pitcher of the Year. Yeah. You know, they got a kid that they think they can win with. Now, the good news for Clemson is, guys, they did see him in that Greenville game for 2 innings. He went 2 innings against Clemson, no hits, no runs, gave up 1 walk and 2 strikeouts. So Clemson's seen him, right? So they can go back and kind of look at it. And now he's gotten better since then, and so has the team overall. But when you've seen somebody, that always helps, right? And so we'll see if that pays off by the 3rd inning for Clemson or not. And but this is a dangerous team. Do I think USC Upstate can win this regional? No. I don't think they got the pitching to win the regional. But could they beat Clemson tonight? Absolutely. I think they could beat Clemson tonight because they got their best pitcher going, and they're a confident team coming in here. And that's a dangerous mix sometimes. So if you're Clemson, you got to play your best and you got to match them stride for stride for about the first 4 or 5 innings. And then if you can get to their bullpen, then you got a chance to win the game.
Kentucky, West Virginia. Clemson would rather play who tomorrow?
Kentucky or West Virginia? Well, that's a good question. If you get to it, either way, they're going to play one of them, right? Yeah. I say you probably want to play Kentucky. I think West Virginia is the better team of the two. It doesn't mean Kentucky's not good. Trust me on that. But I think West Virginia, just the way they hit the baseball, how dangerous they are as a hitting team, and consider Clemson's weakness is pitching, that would be a bad mix for Clemson, even though Clemson would throw Canuck tomorrow no matter what.
Absolutely. Will Vandervoort, the Clemson Insider. Last question for you, Will. When you've watched Clemson all season long, obviously you talked about their struggles toward the end of the season. They did finish well, especially played well in the ACC tournament, other than that one game against North Carolina. In your mind, the one thing that they have to do better this weekend is what?
They need to continue to improve at the plate. One thing you can help when you got a struggling pitching staff is that you can get things done at the plate. And if you remember that North Carolina game, a lot of people look at it and say, oh, they scored 14 runs. But what's the one thing nobody does talk about from that game? Clemson was down 14-0.
Yeah.
The first 7 innings, they didn't score any runs and had 3 hits. It was just as much on the offense as it was the defense, the pitching the other day. So they need to hit the ball and match and help their pitching staff out. I think that's the most important thing for them in this regional. And then, guys, I'll also be honest with you, they can't give up extra outs. You know, they got to limit the free passes. They got to limit the errors. They had a lot of errors in the ACC tournament, very uncharacteristic errors for Clemson last week in that tournament. And surprisingly, they went 3-1 in it because they really had a bunch of head-scratching errors in that game against Georgia Tech, and then did it again against North Carolina. So they got to do a better job also playing defense behind their pitchers as well.
Will Vandervoort, always the best. We appreciate you, man, and I might see you later. We'll see about that.
All right, Cole. I'll see you, buddy. Hopefully I'll see you here.
Will Vandervoort, the Clemson Insider. Always a pleasure. Always really, really good stuff there by Will. Live in Clemson. I'll tell you what, there are other options for you Tolos out there in the sports radio world, but I'll always say I appreciate you choosing us. We do try to bring you to the action. We do try to keep it as current as possible. Obviously, a big day in Clemson, and Will Vandervoort, the Clemson Insider, really good stuff there from Will. And I think he's right. I think he's right. Going with Titsworth today, I believe, is the right move, right? It's the right move as long as Clemson wins. But let USC Upstate get up on them, right? 5-3 in the 5th inning, and all of a sudden we're asking the question is, maybe Aiden Canuck should have started tonight. But like I said, I believe there's more risk or more reward rather than there is risk, because to Will's point that he just pointed out, man, all of a sudden you win tonight, then you're going against either Kentucky or West Virginia. They've already thrown their ace. They threw him today. They're throwing him right now. So your 1 is going against their 2, which would be a big advantage if you're Clemson. I do think Clemson gets out of the regional. There could be some moments, though, scattered throughout the regional, even tonight, where things look uneasy. It happens. It's postseason baseball. They're good teams, right? It's not lousy teams. It happened last year against Coastal Carolina. Remember in the regional last year, things got dicey. I mean, it was an insane environment, but it should be a lot of fun. Appreciate Will Vandervoort for joining us right here on the Fan Upstate, a loaded show. The final segment of the day, the final segment of the week right now on your radio dial. Really appreciate all of you Tolos out there today. The interaction today has been freaking spectacular. It was a little down, a little slow yesterday, but you Tolos really stepped it up today. It has been absolutely terrific. Phone calls from Tolos we've never heard from before. A lot of interaction on the stream as well. All of the 140 Tolos still watching the show. I appreciate you. And those on the Hub City Spartanburgers text line. Want to say thanks to you as well. I did miss Ginger Brad from Malden's text. He said, I say, call me anything you want, just don't call me late for dinner. I like that. I'm with you on that. Scotty from BMW. I could start naming Tolos, but, man, we have had so many awesome texts today from you Tolos right here in the upstate, and that's why this show's the best, because of you, not because of us, not because of me or Diesel, but because of you Tolos. You interact, you call, you text, you chat on the stream. And a lot of shows out there, they come up with these things and say, they're this, they're that, they have this, they have that, they're interactive, whatever. But we Diesel and I, we really don't try to say things like that. We kind of just allow the interaction to speak for itself. And you Tolos, without you all watching and listening every day, it wouldn't be the same. It really wouldn't. Nobody wants to sit and talk to the wall all day long. Let me grab this one phone call and play a little chest bump for you. Wire to wire, what's your name? Dewey wants to chime in. How about a late phone call from Dewey? We were sitting here talking about how good today's show's been and reminiscing on it, all the great guests and callers and interaction, how awesome you Tolos are. Dewey wants to get in before the show is over with. What's up, Dewey?
Yes. Well, the Braves managed to win last night.
They did.
And Chris Sale, he looked like Chris Sale, but I was actually waiting for his elbow to pop, too, because it seems like it's a disease going around in the locker room where all the pitchers get injured, and when good things happen, they just get injured. And I think the training staff needs to be looked into about that.
You think so?
Yes, it's their fault.
A.J. Smith-Shawver, season-ending injury, right?
Yes. And I don't know who you replace. I guess Bryce Elder's coming back, or Jesse Chavez, or somebody's coming back who's going to be mediocre in that position. So it's not much of a loss, but it's just one after the other.
Yeah.
And Chris Sale, he did his thing, and the bullpen came in and about gave the game away again, even though it was like 8-0. But still, they about gave the game away. Iglesias gave up his runs, but I think. I brought this up to Rob Brown today. I think a rebuild needs to happen.
Think so?
You need to start trading away dead weight. Matt Olson is dead weight.
Dewey, you're not supposed to do a rebuild like 8 years after you do a rebuild.
Well, the Mets did one several times over, and they're doing good still, and they were supposed to suck. But somehow they got Juan Soto, and they got all these other people. But the Braves, they don't want to get no one.
Yeah.
They just want to have Little League.
No, I'm with you,
They
Dewey.
might as well go back. They might as well go back to 2016 type of baseball. Man, get rid of the dead weight. Get players who actually want to be there and who actually want to lead this team. They still got some good parts. They need to get rid of the dead weight.
You tell them, Dewey. I agree with you, Dewey. I agree with you.
And Clemson, I think Clemson's getting upset this weekend.
By who?
There's no one. By whoever they're playing. I don't even know who they're playing.
USC Upstate out of Spartanburg. You know where Spartanburg is, Dewey?
That's far away from Greenville. But yes, that they're going to get upset by that school, and they want to be calling for that other guy's job too. So
back at you.
I'm going to be drinking this weekend, and I'm going to pick a fight with someone and probably go to jail.
You should.
Oh.
Dewey, did you enjoy today's show? Was it good enough for you?
It was okay, but Diesel needs to come back from vacation.
I know, he's slacker.
And get back to work.
I know.
It's slacking.
He's slacker.
No vacation, but Actually, you probably could replace Diesel with Lonzo and send Diesel up Rob Brown's way. That should be his punishment.
You think so? Oh, so punishment for Diesel is – but then that's punishment for me because I'm stuck with Lonzo.
Yeah, but Lonzo would just sit there and, well, he'll just look at you and disagree with you.
Yeah, you're right on that. Dewey, appreciate you. Have a great weekend, buddy.
Yeah. So.
Got a double right there from Dewey. How about that? Tolos, hope you have a fantastic weekend. I really do. Appreciate all of you. I mean that. Thank you for being a part of the show. I will see you on Monday, a Monday edition of Wire to Wire. We'll see you then. Tolo.